I am an ability user whose words become reality. With just one sentence, I can say, God says I can fly. Even without wings, I could rise straight into the air, as long as I spoke another word. God says I can turn invisible so I can vanish in an instant. But when I transmigrate to the apocalypse and possess the body of Su Yanxi, who has been trapped for 3 months and starved to death, I immediately speak. God said, I need a bowl of white rice, but the next second there was no response. It was only then that I realized this body has no spiritual power. Just as I was thinking about how to get out of this predicament, suddenly there was a banging on the door from outside. The cabinets and tables completely blocked the door, so I couldn't even look through the peephole. But the constant knocking also made me sure that it was a person outside, not a zombie. Holding onto the cabinet, I shouted, someone's inside. Even though I shouted with all my strength, my voice wasn't very loud. Luckily, the people outside still heard me. Then I heard an excited voice. With the help of Pei Yan and the others, I was finally rescued and got into the back seat of the off-road vehicle. I glanced at Pei Yan in the passenger seat, who was fiddling with a light blue crystal. Raising an eyebrow, I asked, what's that in your hand? Pei Yan paused, then replied briefly, Jinha. Seeing that I hadn't left the house in 3 months, Pei Yan explained it was something from inside a zombie's brain. As long as you take out the Jinha, the zombie dies completely. Ji Feng, who had been silent on the side, couldn't help but cut in. This Jinha is also useful to us ability users. By the way, are you an ability user? Through the original owner's memories, I understood what that meant. So I nodded. Yeah, I am. What ability do you have? Ji Feng looked somewhat surprised. I thought for a moment and said, I guess I can do a little bit of everything. Ji Feng glanced at me through the rearview mirror. His expression was a little speechless. Guess my name. I ignored him. I just looked at Pei Yan and asked, can I have this golden river? I'll return it to you later. Pei Yan handed me the golden river and warned, we ability users can absorb energy from the golden river, but it's mixed with some viruses. If you absorb it, you need to remove the viruses first, otherwise before he could finish. He saw the golden river in my hand had already turned into gray stone. Pei Yan was startled. You okay? I'm fine. After absorbing the spiritual energy, I immediately regained some strength. I held out my hand, and Pei Yan was about to eat. I said softly, I command, I have a cream bun. Pei Yan frowned, thinking I had lost my mind, and was about to tell Ji Feng to stop the car. The next second, a cream bun really appeared in my palm. The moonlight car slammed on the brakes, and I lurched forward. Luckily, my hand blocked my forehead. The bun got squished in my hand, and cream squeezed out. I glared at Ji Feng. He laughed and said, Hey, little sister. Where did you get that bun? Are you a spatial ability user? I ignored him. I lowered my head and kept eating the bun. Pei Yan was thinking about what had just happened. You just absorbed the golden river energy. Did you convert it? That golden river had a lot of impurities besides the spiritual energy. How did you convert it? How could it be so fast? What is there to convert? Don't you just absorb what you need directly? I looked up at Pei Yan. Just then, the car suddenly stopped. Zombies started closing in nearby. Pei Yan didn't keep pressing. Let's keep moving. We'll talk when we're somewhere safe. The moonlight car started again. Thanks to absorbing the golden river, I had regained some strength. I also learned about the state of the apocalypse from Pei Yan. It had been 3 months since the world ended. Society had completely collapsed. They were heading to a base where a survivor settlement had been set up. After getting the picture, I asked, and Brother Pei? I went home first, didn't see Dad or Auntie. As for Brother Pei, I haven't been to his school yet. The two of us fell silent. Ji Feng quickly spoke up. Brother Pei, there's Linda Mall up ahead. Should we go in? Stop nearby and let Ji Bai check it out. The 2 moonlight cars pulled over. I was warned to wait until they cleared the nearby zombies before getting out. I naturally wasn't going to get out. I don't have much strength right now. I won't go down and hold us back. There aren't too many zombies on the street. After they finished clearing, I saw them take out golden cores from the zombies' brains. My eyes lit up. I quickly got off the car, but before I could go over. After all, that man who even in the apocalypse wears a white shirt nodded at Pei Yan. There should be no danger nearby. As for inside the mall, it's a bit far. Need to go in and check it out. Pei Yan took a clean towel and wiped the golden cores uniformly. Seeing me come over, he freed one hand and waved at me, then finally introduced the members to everyone. Shinjibai, you've met him before, remember? Jibai, this is my younger sister, Su Yanxi. Shinjibai glanced at me, nodded slightly, and didn't speak again. He was always quiet by nature. Pei Yan didn't say much either, and called the other 2 over to introduce them. One is Su Nyenin, also Pei Yan's childhood friend, and the other is Su Qinsa. She is Su Nyenin's fiancée. Pei Yan's ability is the strongest, a fire-type ability user. His personality is lively and he's very talkative. Ji Feng is a wind-type ability user. The quiet Shinjibai is a psychic-type ability user, looking gentle as water. But Su Nyenin is a space-type ability user, and Su Qinsa, with a proud face and avoiding eye contact, is a water-type ability user. Except for Pei Yan and Shinjibai, who are level 2 ability users, the rest are still stuck at level 1. After Pei Yan and the others finished digging out the zombie golden cores, the group walked toward the mall, although they were still 50 or 60 meters away. But through the broken glass windows, zombies could still be seen walking stiffly. It's worth noting that human abilities can level up, and zombies will also evolve. Entering the mall, there were indeed many zombies gathered inside. Looking around, there were dozens. However, Pei Yan and the others were not worried about these zombies on the floors. These zombies moved slowly. Slowly clearing them, they could always take them all out. Their real goal was the large supermarket on the basement level. Unless the base organization sent people, it would basically be impossible to empty it out. Everyone looked at Shin Jibai at the same time. He slightly closed his eyes, then his psychic ability spread to the first floor. Before long, Shin Jibai's handsome face gradually turned pale, and fine sweat appeared on his forehead. He then opened his eyes, his expression solemn. I can only say, there are a lot of zombies, especially many. I can't sense the exact number. But with our current abilities, he said, shaking his head, and didn't continue the rest. Pei Yan wasn't surprised by this answer. In fact, they had prepared for it before coming. Ji Feng pointed to the 4th floor. I remember there's a food street on the 4th floor. Should we go up and take a look? No need. Most of the things in the food street are ingredients that don't last long. Su Nianin rejected the suggestion. There are still too many zombies inside. Let's keep a low profile. Just look for clothes on the 1st floor. We still have to go to some safe and secluded places to kill zombies. Save up more essence to improve our abilities. Otherwise, next time we encounter a place with supplies, we'll have to give up again. No one objected to Pei Yan's words, so everyone became very quiet, trying to stay away from zombies. They walked without making a sound. If they saw suitable clothes, they would let Su Nianin, with his space ability, store them in his space. Half an hour later, after finding clothes, they quietly retreated. I didn't go inside at all. Ji Feng was also waiting outside, acting as lookout. Back in the car, I looked at Pei Yan, who had switched to the driver's seat. We're just leaving like this? No choice. We're not strong enough. If you give me more golden cores, maybe I can solve it. Ji Feng in the passenger seat turned around with a smile. Little sister, your plan is too obvious. If you want golden cores, just say it. Don't use this as an excuse. You can invest in me. My ability is very powerful. Space ability? Ji Feng waved dismissively. Brother Shin is also a space type. I stopped talking. Pei Yan was driving. He glanced at me in the rearview mirror. You want golden cores? Then you have to contribute to the team. In the apocalypse, people without value can't survive. Do you understand investment? I crossed my arms. Pei Yan held the steering wheel with one hand. With the other hand, he took out a few golden cores from his pocket and tossed them back. I caught them precisely. But people without value can't survive. Yet you have backing. I smiled. This half-brother Pei Yan was indeed nice. Even though we share the same father but different mothers, he came to find me first. I gripped the crystal cores and instantly absorbed them all. Ji Feng watched from the side and directly cursed. Looking again, he still found it absurd. With a complex expression, he looked at me. Little sister, you really... I glanced at him. Without speaking, after absorbing several crystal cores, my mental state recovered considerably. Following Shin Jibai's suggestion, everyone arrived at a villa area as it was getting dark. The villa used as a temporary shelter looked like it had been vacant for a long time, with many things inside in disarray. The floor was also covered with a thick layer of dust. After everyone checked the villa and confirmed it was safe, Pei Yan told everyone to find their own rooms and that the rooms needed to be cleaned. Miss Su, please prepare some water. I don't want to go to the 2nd floor, so I found a room on the 1st floor. A room with a bathroom. Then I used my ability, saying, God says, this is a clean and tidy room. The next second, the room was transformed, as if it had just been thoroughly cleaned. Pei Yan walked over with a bedsheet, froze when he saw my room. Your room? Why is it so clean? Didn't I say I know a little bit of everything? And there's even an ability for cleaning rooms? I truly have limited knowledge. Then, little sister, I'll leave my room to you, for the sake of the crystal cores you gave me this afternoon. All right, the room Pei Yan chose was a small room on the 1st floor. I glanced at it and cast my spell. God says, this is a clean room. The next moment, all the items in the entire room became spotless. Even the tissue on the floor was perfectly clean. Pei Yan looked at me with some surprise. Su Yanxi, this ability of yours is really great. He then took out a few crystal cores from his pocket and handed them to me. These crystal cores are all for you. After dinner, I'll go kill some more zombies. My eyes lit up at the sight of the crystal cores. Thanks, big brother. Speak properly. Just as we were talking, a knock suddenly came from outside. Everyone walked to the living room, their eyes all on Shin Jibai. He gently closed his eyes. After a moment, he opened them again and slowly said through his thin lips, 2 men and 2 women. I don't sense any danger. Hearing Shin Jibai's words, Ji Feng looked at Pei Yan and asked, Brother Pei, should we open the door? Open it. Ji Feng walked over and opened the door. Outside, as Shin Jibai had said, stood 2 men and 2 women. They all looked quite young, with a hint of clear stupidity in their eyes. The girl who saw Ji Feng looked quite young, with a hint of clear stupidity. Seeing Ji Feng open the door, their faces immediately lit up with surprise. I saw 2 SUVs outside, so I guess there might be people here. Didn't expect there really were. Closing the door again, Ji Feng retreated to Pei Yan's side, his expression showing some scrutiny. Who are you? What do you want by coming in? Hello. We are students from the nearby Polytechnic University. After the apocalypse came, we struggled to survive at school, waiting for rescue, and only recently escaped from the school. During that time, we also encountered some flying ability users and learned about the current state of the apocalypse. Yes. Along the way, besides encountering a few flying ability users, we haven't met any other humans. If it weren't for these ability users, we would have suspected whether this world is only left with us. Pei Yan raised an eyebrow slightly. You're from Polytechnic? Then do you know Brother Pei? Brother Pei? I know him. He's a big shot at our school, but he probably doesn't know me. They chatted for a while more. After learning each other's names, everyone gradually became familiar. Learning that we were heading to the giant view base, the Qingfeng group then asked to bring them along. I am a dual ability user of Apocalypse and Speed. Weiliang is a space ability user, another is Strength type. We have supplies. We won't use yours. We just hope to reach the base together, within our capabilities. Look out for each other. Seeing Pei Yan frown slightly, it seemed he didn't want to bring them along. Ji Feng quickly stated their value. Seeing that all 4 of them had abilities and wouldn't consume their supplies, Pei Yan agreed to head to the base together. After getting to know each other, Xin Yanxi took out rice and eggs from his space. We'll have egg-fried rice tonight, he said, looking at me. I heard you're a food blogger. You cook. I can't cook. Xin Yanxi looked at me doubtfully, and I added, I'm only in charge of eating and reviewing. Sun Yenin looked a bit helpless and was about to cook himself when Xia Chanqian, who was eating a self-heating rice meal, walked over. I can cook. Let me help you. Sun Yenin seemed a little embarrassed. My cooking is pretty good. Just think of it as a thank you for agreeing to take us along. Sun Yenin couldn't refuse anymore. Then I'll trouble you. Xia Chanqian took the rice from Sun Yenin's hands. She deftly rinsed the rice and put it on a simple stove to steam. Once the rice was done, I'll stir-fry it when it's ready. Thanks, no need. Xia Chanqian's eyes were bright as she stared intently at Sun Yenin. Sun Yenin. Xia Chanqian was about to continue speaking when Su Qinsa beside her couldn't help but interrupt. Yenin, come here for a moment. I need to talk to you. Then she turned to Xia Chanqian with an apologetic look. Miss Xia, I'm sorry. Our Yenin can't cook. Sorry for the trouble. Hearing this, Sun Yenin frowned slightly. Xia Chanqian shook her head and blinked as she asked, Our sister Qinsa and brother Yenin boyfriend and girlfriend? We're engaged. Oh, you two seem really close. After saying this, Xia Chanqian walked over to the dining table, sat down, and continued eating, her eyes cast down. Everyone in this group had satisfied expressions on their faces. After dinner, they took out a map and planned several routes to the base. The exact route still depends on the situation. They had to leave a city as soon as possible. Although the disaster wasn't as severe as in other cities, there were still floods, just not serious for now. But with natural disasters you can never be sure, so it's safer to leave early. After arranging the night watch, I got some clean clothes from Sun Yenin and went into the bathroom to take a shower. In the middle of the night, half asleep, I heard someone shouting. I opened my eyes. Lack of sleep made me irritable. I opened the door with my messy hair and saw a single candle lit in the living room. A few people had already been woken up. What happened? I just asked, when I heard an unusual sound. What's that sound? Shin Jibai rushed down from the 2nd floor, his tone urgent, very dangerous. I can sense a lot of zombies, and it seems like these zombies are fleeing. As soon as he finished speaking, the sky rumbled. With a loud crash, lightning seemed to tear the sky apart, and huge raindrops instantly fell. All the zombies are running away. Ji Feng asked anxiously. Brother Pei, what do we do now? We go too. Pack up your stuff. Everyone else, move out now. The rain poured down and in just a moment, the ground was covered with standing water. Shin Jibai sat in the back seat, looking out the rear window at this scene, frowning slightly. It must be a natural disaster. Look, a lot of rats are running out. Since there were no earthquakes or other disasters, the roads were still fairly clear. Driving along we could still see many other vehicles also fleeing. These commotions didn't attract the zombies. It seemed that survival was more important than food. Ji Feng looked out the window and suddenly pointed into the distance. Look, it's a flying ability user. Su Qinsa rarely showed an envious expression. Flying, that's really amazing. I glanced over and yawned. What's so hard about that? As if you're a flying ability user yourself. What's so hard about it? I'm not a flying ability user, but I can fly. Su Qinsa rolled her eyes. You talk big without even preparing. With Shin Jibai's spiritual ability boosting them, the 2 SUVs sped all the way toward the base. The rain was getting heavier, and soon the water kept rising, making it hard for the vehicle to move. Jifeng pressed the gas pedal, feeling it was getting tougher, and knew they couldn't go any further. Not only was the rain heavy, but the standing water was also deep. If they kept driving, the car might stall. The headlights pierced through the curtain of rain, but there was nothing visible ahead. Complete darkness. Pei Yan rolled down the window a little and immediately heard the deafening rain. Along with the howling wind, rainwater poured in fiercely through the window gap. Jibai, is there any place nearby where we can take shelter? They couldn't make it to the base for now. Having used his psychic ability continuously, Shin Jibai was exhausted, and his face looked pale. Hearing Pei Yan's question, he used his ability to scan again for a moment, and said with a pale face, southeast direction, there's a place we can stay temporarily. Jifeng didn't hesitate, turned on the high beams, and drove southeast. After about 10 minutes of driving, they finally saw the place Shin Jibai had mentioned. By then, the water level had risen to calf height, and the car stalled on its own. Jifeng called out for everyone to grab flashlights and get ready to get out. I glanced at the water pooling by the soul bead, and said expressionlessly, the word says, I can fly. Won't get rained on. Su Qinsa, who was about to get out of the car, saw this, and was instantly speechless. I mean, Su Yanxi, do you have a problem? What kind of time is this? Just as she was about to keep mocking, the next second her eyes went wide. I saw my feet slowly lift off the ground, floating out of the car. The flashlight beam cut through the rain and fog, and with this scene it looked especially eerie. More importantly, the pouring rain really couldn't touch me at all. You. Floating out of the car, I looked down at Jifeng, who stood frozen with his mouth open. What are you standing there for? Lead the way. Yes. Jifeng immediately answered respectfully. After answering, he himself froze. Wait, why was he being so submissive? He was instinctively trying to please her? No, that wasn't the point. The point was, why did he have to lead the way? Jifeng felt a pang of regret, but his movements were quick, as he extended a hand and said, this way. No, this way, fly. After saying that, Jifeng regretted it again. He always felt that when he met Brother Pei's sister's eyes, he couldn't help but feel intimidated. The others looked at Jifeng and me in the air, filled with shock. They'd never heard of a flying ability user who could fly without wings. And why wasn't the rain getting on her? Was it that selective? The building Shin Jibai mentioned was a private 3-story house. The first floor seemed to be a small supermarket, with shelves scattered everywhere. Food and drinks were mostly gone, leaving only some everyday items. Everyone pulled down the rolling shutter door, then headed up to the second floor together. As soon as I landed, I saw a few golden river stones handed to me. I looked at Pei Yan in confusion. What do you mean? Clean this place up a bit. Brother Pei, clean what up? I ignored them, and after absorbing the golden river stones, I was in a good mood. The word says this place is clean and tidy. By the light of the flashlights, everyone could clearly see that all the furniture here had become spotless, and even the floor seemed scrubbed clean, the white tiles gleaming. Su Yanxi, what exactly is your ability? Didn't I say? I can do anything. Little by little, I'm starting a little now. Su Jingsa bit her lip. But what kind of ability is that? You can fly, you can clean. And I heard Jifeng say you have spatial ability too. So 3 types? Unconsciously winning him over. After moving the gold out, Lu Guixiang saw. So they all looked at me. I stayed calm, sitting on the sofa unhurriedly. Probably 1,000 type, 10,000 type ability user. Having recovered a good amount of spiritual power, I was fully rising now. From now on, I no longer had to care about anyone else's attitude. The others didn't notice my change in demeanor, because in their eyes, I had always been this cocky. When had they ever seen me care about anyone else's attitude? There weren't many rooms on the second floor, only 3, but luckily the third floor had 2 more, one of which was a large master bedroom. With not enough rooms, they naturally had to share with others. But stubborn me, how could I be willing? I cleaned this house. There's no problem with me taking the master bedroom alone, right? Everyone looked at Pei Yan, since I did clean the house. But he supplied the crystals. Before Pei Yan could speak, Gu Tian, who rarely talks, Chang Shui chimed in, I don't see a problem. Shin Yanxing glanced at his friend. How could he not know the reason Gu Tian agreed? It was a gift from heaven. This wasn't like the aloof Gu Tian of before. He even learned to suck up. Since no one has any objections, Pei Yan said, seeing no dissent. He nodded and opened a door. Su Jingsa, it's settled. To be honest, there are 10 of us total for women. If someone gets a room to themselves, doesn't that mean us 3 girls have to squeeze into one room? I disagree. What about you guys? But Xiao Weiliang and Zhao Xinxin didn't answer. They were just hitching a ride with Pei Yan. This place was found by Gu Tian alone. The room was cleaned by me. The crystals were provided by Pei Yan. What right did they have to vote? Arms crossed. She said coolly, you disagree? Then let's settle it with a vote. A vote? They'd all vote for you. The 6 of them. Except Sun Yenin, who didn't speak up. Everyone else already agreed. Then shut up. Su Jingsa wanted to argue, but met my pitch-black, icy eyes. She was startled. It felt like she'd fallen into an ice cellar, shivering from the cold. How could this be? How could a person's eyes be so terrifying? The momentum she'd built up, the words she'd prepared, came out twisted. Fine, it's not like I said you can't. Her voice was loud, but the words were cowardly. I was pleased with her compliance. I retracted my aura and took the chance to order her around. First, go to my room and run me a bath. I want to shower. Everyone stared at me in shock, then looked at Su Jingsa. Even Xia Weiliang, who'd known her less than a day, knew Su Jingsa usually acted like a spoiled heiress, always domineering. It was already unbelievable that she'd back down. And now I dared to push my luck? If the two of them fought, would they pull Su Jingsa away first, or Su Jingsa first? As for me, yeah, they wouldn't dare touch me. Su Jingsa, who they thought would explode in anger, still had a fierce tone, still shouted loudly. Run the bath. Yeah, still cowardly. Su Jingsa stormed up to the third floor. Her steps hurried, almost like she was fleeing. Shen Yanxi looked at me, a hint of admiration in his eyes for how I handled Su Jingsa's spoiled tantrum. Even she sometimes couldn't deal with it. I never thought I could tame her. After showering, I went to the second floor. Everyone else had gotten settled and was preparing food. The group of 4, Xia Weiliang and his people, were still separated from them. Because the rain had lowered the temperature, they decided to have self-heating hot pot for dinner. I sat on a single sofa, smelling the hot pot in my hands, my eyes lighting up. The first bite didn't disappoint. Spicy, numbing, fragrant, bursting with aroma. Even though it was mostly vegetables, it was still delicious. Everyone else was eating with equal relish. After all, self-heating hot pot was such a luxury these days that they usually couldn't bear to eat it. Just being full was good enough. I ate excitedly, wanting nothing more than to have another bowl immediately. But thinking about my spiritual energy, I held back. Kill some zombies first, then I can eat hot pot every day. After the meal, Pei Yan looked at the leftover broth in my container. He frowned slightly. This is all precious grease. The implication was that I should finish it. Hot pot broth you'd turn your nose up at before the apocalypse was a rare delicacy now. Even rich people like Pei Yan and Su Jingsa ate every last drop. This was truly wasteful. I looked at the broth. I really didn't want it. Slightly disgusted, I said, I don't want it. Pei Yan disapproved and was about to persuade me again, when a small voice came from beside him. He doesn't want it? Maybe I can eat it for him? Everyone was stunned, staring at Su Jingsa. Su Jingsa was a little embarrassed. I just think it's too wasteful. It's the apocalypse now, so naturally we need to cherish things more. If you want it, go ahead. A delighted expression appeared on Su Jingsa's face. She took my leftover broth and downed it in one gulp. So you're that kind of rich girl. I moved over a bit, disgusted. No wonder you don't care about the female lead. You can't even resist leftover hot pot broth that someone else ate. How pathetic. So Yanxi didn't care what others thought. Ever since the apocalypse, she'd barely had enough to eat. Her stomach had no fat at all, and she went to bed hungry every night. Especially after using her ability, she burned through energy even faster. She'd eat leftover hot pot soup. If not for the fact that zombies weren't edible, she'd eat them too when she was starving. She still starved to death. After dinner, everyone perked up. They discussed what to do next. Everyone immediately looked at Gu Tianqing. After all, he had a psychic ability. Even things he said based on intuition were pretty reliable. Gu Tianqing didn't use his ability again. He'd exhausted it for the day and was completely weak. His head was spinning. It would take a whole night to recover. Pei Yan thought for a moment and said, let's head toward East City first. There shouldn't be any flooding there. And going to East City won't affect our route to the base. East City works. Ji Feng was the first to agree. But the question was how to get there. Our supplies won't hold out either. Pei Yan frowned slightly. Then these next few days, we'll mainly search for kayaks. We still need to leave a city as soon as possible. Flooding is often accompanied by all kinds of bacteria and viruses. Xia Weiliang listened to them talk and couldn't help but interject quietly. Before he could finish, everyone else spoke at almost the same time, but my voice was louder and completely drowned him out. What's with the kayaks? If you guys chip in more golden cores to see someone die before him in this life, Old Wang couldn't help but smile. Since the apocalypse began, can conjure lifeboats out of thin air. I leaned back on the sofa, arms crossed, my expression indifferent. The other 9 discussed it. There were 10 of them total. If they used a standard-sized lifeboat, could squeeze 7 or 8 people. But for more space, everyone agreed not to rush. In the end, they tallied how many golden cores each person was willing to contribute. Pei Yan suggested 5 golden cores per person in exchange for 3 lifeboats. I agreed without hesitation. After quickly absorbing all 45 golden cores, I sat still on the sofa. I just moved my lips. I say there are 3 lifeboats in front of me. Everyone watched as a surge of energy rippled through the living room, and sure enough, 3 lifeboats materialized out of thin air. Is that? Xia Weiliang stared at me in shock. Not a lifeboat stored in a spatial ability? Then what kind of ability is this? Using words become reality. Xia Weiliang turned to the speaker. He saw Ji Feng excitedly crouch down beside me. Little sister. No, Ling Jie, I've realized your ability is best described as words become reality. Say something and it appears. So then, can I make the food I like appear too? I want braised pork and rice. So shameless. The others couldn't bear to look at Ji Feng being such a bootlicker, but deep down they were just a little bit jealous. Who wouldn't want rice and braised pork? I raised an eyebrow slightly, but I hadn't stored any, I just absorbed them directly. I say there is a bowl of steaming rice and a plate of braised pork in front of me. The next second, on the coffee table in front of me, rice and braised pork indeed appeared, steam still rising. The aroma of braised pork wafted over. The sound of gulping was unmistakably loud. Ji Feng, who had already lunged for the rice, felt the wolves-like stares from the group and silently poured the rice onto a plate. Then he found a corner and shoveled it down quickly. The fat and sugar in the meat combined perfectly, creating a sweet and savory flavor that intermingled, making Ji Feng squint his eyes in bliss. This is life. From today on, either it's here and no zombies or no zombies and it's here. Either zombies die or it lives. The others smelled the meat. Their just full stomachs suddenly felt hungry again. But considering their own golden core situation, they gave up. Compared to filling their stomachs, upgrading their abilities to survive and grow stronger in this apocalypse was more important. Once they were strong, would they still lack supplies? Weighing it like that, everyone looked at Ji Feng but suppressed their cravings. Pei Yan looked at me with a complicated expression. I felt his gaze. Even if you're my cheap brother, don't think you're getting a free ride. If you want to eat, you have to pay with Gold River. Black Eye looked a bit helpless, though he wasn't particularly worse off. Your words really are a law of causality. Say what you want and it happens. You could put it that way. I looked at my own skinny arms and legs, thinking I'd have to eat well for a while. Originally, at 163 centimeters tall, I only weighed 80 pounds, completely skin and bones. That face I glanced at once. I didn't want to look at again. Su Yanxi crouched beside me, finishing off the hot pot broth. Su Yan immediately got excited. Law of causality. Does that mean if you say the apocalypse ends, then the apocalypse will end? Theoretically, yes. Su Yan'an pressed further. But it requires enough energy. I pointed at Ji Feng, who was eating in the corner. Like his meal, if he wanted a full banquet, obviously the amount of Gold River he has wouldn't be enough. Su Yanxi lowered her head in disappointment. So it's actually impossible. The energy needed to end the apocalypse would mean taking all the zombies' Gold River in the world for yourself. Not necessarily. Black Eye stared at me fixedly. Though ending the apocalypse might be impossible, the energy to create a vaccine should still be doable. That opened up a new line of thought for everyone. Zhao Xingxing exclaimed excitedly. Exactly. As long as we develop a vaccine for the zombie virus, at least the survivors won't have to fear being infected anymore. The number of zombies won't increase, so it can still be salvaged. Suddenly, everyone's eyes lit up as they looked at me. Director Pei Yan, I propose that from now on, we don't let him do dangerous things. We prioritize protecting him. Agreed? The moment those words came out, the people who had just treated me like a savior immediately avoided Pei Yan's gaze. Prioritizing protecting me is fine, but only if I'm not in danger and the situation isn't critical. God knows they're not the type to sacrifice themselves for others. To ensure the greater good, they might sacrifice themselves. I snorted coldly. You just protect yourselves. I don't need your protection, and I won't protect you either. The matter of prioritizing my protection just fizzled out. I didn't take it seriously myself. Human nature is selfish. Even though I'd spent a few days with Pei Yan's group and we seemed to get along well, if things got real, I probably wouldn't save anyone except Pei Yan. Just like they thought, whether to save someone or not requires weighing the pros and cons. At night, aside from the zombies wailing, I actually rested pretty well. After a night of heavy rain, the next day the rain didn't let up. After breakfast, everyone looked outside from the second-floor windows. The water level had risen quite a bit. Outside, besides zombies moving in the rain, there wasn't a single pedestrian. Zhuo Qingfeng watched the scene and couldn't help but ask, "Do you think zombies can drown?" No. Before anyone else could answer, Xia Weiliang's firm voice came through. Everyone's eyes immediately turned to him. Zhuo Qingfeng quickly asked, "Chanqian, how do you know they won't?" I observed and came to that conclusion. Xia Weiliang paused before answering. "Don't forget, even if you cut off a zombie's head, his head can still survive. Without a body, a zombie head is almost harmless. But that doesn't ignore the fact that it's still alive." Sun Yan'an looked at Xia Weiliang with some admiration. "So what you mean is, as long as the zombie's head or its Gold River isn't damaged, strictly speaking, it's still alive, because in a certain sense, zombies don't age or die, and they can even keep evolving." The eldest young master laughed heartily. "Isn't that immortality? If the first emperor knew immortality was like this, he wouldn't have taken those elixirs. If the zombie virus could keep our bodies from mutating and our brains rational, and if we scratched that brain itch a bit, maybe we'd be off conquering the stars. Sounds cool just thinking about it. Fighting aliens sounds way better than fighting zombies. Aliens are still not our kind." Gu Tiancheng had recovered by today. He was now sitting on the sofa in the living room. Usually he only wore a white shirt, but today, because of the temperature drop, he had on a thin black trench coat. He crossed his legs, sipped hot water from a cup, glanced at the rain outside and said, "It's probably going to rain for another week. We can't stay here that long. Yen, what do you think?" Yesterday they calculated their supplies, enough for exactly a week. But you can't cut it that close. There's definitely no going out today. The rain is too heavy. Which day will it let up? Gu Tianqing. I used my ability to carefully sense the premonitions about traveling in recent days, and finally came to the conclusion that we can leave the day after tomorrow, but there will be some trouble. Beyond that, he couldn't sense anything. After all, his ability is only at level 2, and I heard that level 3 is a turning point for abilities. Compared to level 1 and 2 abilities, it's a qualitative change. It seems we need to reach level 3 as soon as possible. Pei Yan made the final decision. Then we'll set off the day after tomorrow. No objections. Naturally, nobody objected. It wasn't suitable to go out looking for supplies in the heavy rain, either. Pei Yan simply took Jifeng and Sun Yenin to check out the first floor. Last night, it was too late. The first floor was a small shop with some merchandise still hanging on the walls. They needed to see if anything there could be useful. Water was already seeping in through the cracks in the door. Some shelves that had fallen over were floating from being soaked. The sound of rain outside was still pattering against the rolling shutter door, even louder now. Besides that, there were also the gurgling sounds of zombies. The flashlight beam swayed downstairs. A cold wind blew through the pitch-black space. It was really creepy. The water on the first floor was too high. Pei Yan and the others simply took a lifeboat over to check the supplies. The things hanging on the walls were almost useless: backpacks, straw hats, water bottles, all everyday items. Jifeng excitedly packed all these things into his space. My space is almost full. I need to level up as soon as possible. A level 1 space ability user has really limited storage space. Only 5 cubic meters. We don't have much food stored, but we've piled up a lot of everyday items like pots and pans. Well, we'll figure it out the day after tomorrow. Our group had been holed up in this 3-story house all along without running into any danger. Early the day after tomorrow, I looked out the window and saw that the rain had indeed lessened, turning into a drizzling rain. Pei Yan handed out the 4 raincoats he'd collected to me and the others. I was a bit reluctant, but I figured I should save my spiritual energy. There were a few scattered zombies, floating on the water's surface, looking like they were just lying there. As soon as they came out, the fresh scent of humans instantly made their grayish-white eyes seem to come alive. Their bodies, even more bloated and rotten from the water, stood up. The maggots on them had already been washed away, floating on the water. Their grayish-white eyeless sockets seemed to be able to see people. They charged toward them, waving their claws. But because of the water resistance and the fact that it was daytime, they weren't fast. In fact, they were very slow. My eyes lit up. I was about to say something when I heard Pei Yan say, "Kill these zombies. Even a mosquito's leg is meat, and isolated zombies are more practical." Before Pei Yan even finished speaking, Jifeng and Zhuqingfeng all struck at once. They had said before that zombie crystals, whoever kills the zombie gets them. Now that there were easy, isolated zombies to kill, they naturally wouldn't let them go. Before the zombies could even get close, they were taken out one after another by abilities. Jifeng held 2 crystals in his hand, calculating in his mind that when he saw more zombies, he'd have to kill plenty. That way, rice and braised pork would be within reach. I've never been so eager to see zombies before. Just thinking about it got me a little excited. As the lifeboat drifted east toward the city, they gradually encountered many zombies like the ones at the entrance. Although the sudden heavy rain had hindered humans, it had also hindered the zombies. Humans had lifeboats, but zombies didn't. This round, the advantage is ours. I wanted to speak up, but I realized that if I used words to compete, I wouldn't be as fast as them acting directly. So I said, I have a sharp weapon that can kill zombies. They looked at me, then directly steered the lifeboat. When they saw a zombie, they thrust a sword straight into its head, then twisted their wrist. The crystal was flicked out by the beautiful long sword. The effortless, clean movements almost made it seem like cutting up a zombie was as easy as slicing a watermelon. The corpses had been softened by the water. Jifeng, wanting to save his ability energy, took his old kitchen knife from Sun Yenin. He swung it down and immediately realized his mistake. The zombie's skull was still just as hard. The zombie he hacked at couldn't compare to mine at all. On top of that, moving around on the lifeboat was inconvenient. It was a bit rough. I thought riding a lifeboat would be full of danger. But it turned out just the opposite. The combat ability of each zombie seemed to be appropriately. I chopped at a zombie with a swift slash. But except for me, no one else had my ability. Instead, it was kill for a while, rest for a while, then kill again, taking turns like this to avoid danger. Everyone had broken free. Jifeng had killed about a dozen zombies and was sitting down to rest. Then he saw my body lift into the air and kill a zombie that was a little farther from them. After pocketing the crystal core, I flew back, movements clean and efficient. He wanted to ask if I ever got tired, but then he thought about my crystal cores. I could absorb them in just 1 second. Was this what the world of the powerful was like? Crying, this meant I could eat braised pork every day. Everyone else needed to rest, but not me. So along the way, wherever we went, zombies fled for their lives. The crystal cores seemed to be watching me like they were free. Then a scoop turned left up ahead. Gu Tianqing sensed for a moment, then said, "There are a lot of zombies up ahead." When I heard this, I asked excitedly, but before Gu Tianqing could answer, I released my psychic energy. Joy immediately lit up my eyes. Indeed, there were a lot. Gu Tiancheng asked sharply. You can sense them? Didn't I say I know a little bit of everything? Gu Tiancheng felt that psychic abilities were different from other powers. But he couldn't pinpoint how. Without waiting for them to speak, I stated my goal. I want to go there. No, Gu Tiancheng frowned slightly. That's the way to the hospital. If you asked where the most people are in the apocalypse, it's undoubtedly the hospital. Hospitals were already crowded normally, and before the apocalypse with the flu outbreak even more people went. The medical systems in many places had even collapsed at one point. So when the apocalypse came, everyone trapped in the hospital, basically anyone still there when the virus broke out, none of them escaped, they all became zombies. So what? I know you're strong and absorb psychic energy fast, but once there are too many, Gu Tiancheng didn't know how many zombies were at the hospital, but just thinking about it made his scalp tingle. Not to mention the streets surrounding the hospital, there would be plenty of zombies there too. It was very likely that they would be killed by other zombies before even reaching the hospital. And Pei Yan asked beside him, and what? And I have a feeling. The danger at the hospital isn't just because of the number of zombies. There should be something even more dangerous. But as for what exactly, I can't sense it. Gu Tiancheng, who was usually calm, looked serious now. His intuition told him it was very dangerous. At least with their current strength, going there would mean certain death. I didn't answer immediately. Instead, I lightly floated up into the air. If you won't go, I'll go by myself. It's rare to come across such a good chance to boost my strength. Of course I won't let it go. Without power, you can't take a single step. That weak, powerless feeling from a few days ago when I first arrived, I don't want to feel that again. Gu Yanxi, don't be stubborn. Pei Yan frowned slightly. I know you're skilled and bold, but Tiancheng has a point. Overwhelming numbers win. It's better to play it safe. There's no shortage of things in the apocalypse. Only zombies are abundant. I'm afraid I won't encounter them. I hovered in the air, looking down at them. Thank you for looking after me these days, but once I've made a decision, no one can change it. A dozen crystal cores fell at Pei Yan's feet. This is a thank you gift. The girl was so thin, but at that moment, everyone seemed to feel my strong confidence, and that brief glance, like a god looking at mortals. Not contempt, not ridicule, but like a person. Looking at flowers and grass without any feeling, just a light, casual sweep. Gu Yanxi. Pei Yan wanted to persuade me further, but I turned my back to them, raised my hand and waved behind me. My tone was light. We'll meet again. That figure flew farther and farther away. Ji Feng was getting anxious. Bro Pei, she really just left like that? Aren't we going after her? I only got to eat my rice and braised pork once. Pei Yan naturally wanted to chase after her, but they were a team, so he looked at the others. What do you all think? Qing Feng glanced at Xia Weiliang and sensed her meaning. Those of us sitting in the lifeboat aren't going. He has flight powers. We don't, and besides, Gu Tiancheng already said there are dangers other than zombies. There are other threats too, but of course Qing Feng had more he didn't say. If they actually went, that girl might not appreciate it. Those dark eyes were just too indifferent. He'd always felt slighted, as if in her eyes he was no better than an ox or a horse. So if danger came, she might not bother saving them. Su Jingsa quickly asked, Brother Pei, what about us? Although he'd been kept in check by me. For some reason, Su Jingsa didn't actually dislike me. Truth be told, deep down he's very drawn to strength. Before the apocalypse, Sun Yenin was outstanding in every way, a standout among the rich second-generation crowd. After the apocalypse, awakening the rare spatial ability only deepened his existing admiration for Sun Yenin. He'd always thought he had fairly strong feelings for Sun Yenin. But now he realized he actually liked me more. Because in his heart, I was stronger than Sun Yenin. Pei Yan didn't make a decision directly. What do you think? Even though he really wanted to go, this wasn't something he could decide on his own. His friends had pushed him to be the team leader, so naturally he had to consider everyone's safety. Otherwise, if something went wrong, he could never forgive himself. Xia Weiliang watched Pei Yan's group nervously. Of course, he didn't want them to go. If they left, they'd lose the powerful, decent partners they'd just found, not to mention Sun Yenin was still here. I think. Ji Feng sat on the lifeboat, quietly lifting his eyes to glance at the others. Of course he wanted to go, that was braised pork and rice. Who could say no? Who could? But his rationality told him this was a matter of life and death for everyone, not something to decide lightly. That left Ji Feng stuck, unable to make either choice. Whatever decision you make, I'll go along with it. Ji Feng, with his decision paralysis, simply chose not to choose. He passed the problem to someone else. Seeing Ji Feng so conflicted, Sun Yenin said bluntly, I disagree with going over there. Tiancheng, what about you? Gu Tiancheng frowned slightly. In his mind, there was one very strange thing. He'd never mentioned, his psychic ability didn't seem to work on me. He was already a level 2 psychic, able to sense threats within a certain range. He could also sense people's and ability users' feelings toward him. For instance, when Xia Weiliang's group first arrived, he could tell they weren't much of a threat and that they hadn't come with hostile intent. But me, he couldn't sense anything at all, like a pool of stagnant water. Or just air, as if I didn't even exist. Like right now, he only knew that if they went to the hospital, the outcome would be a near certain death. Yet with me as a variable, it was as if I wasn't there. He couldn't factor me into the calculation. I disagree too. If it can't be calculated, it's uncontrollable. No one knows how things will ultimately play out. He Yan then looked at Su Jingse. Su Jingse bit his lip, then dropped his head a little dejectedly. I give up on choosing. His surrender surprised the others. They'd expected him to strongly oppose going to find me. After all, they all thought Su Jingse must hate me. But it turned out they were wrong. Two had chosen to disagree, two had given up choosing. No matter what Pei Yan decided, it wouldn't change the outcome. The man narrowed his eyes slightly, his voice low. He turned the rudder, steering the lifeboat to the left, away from the road to the hospital. The atmosphere fell silent. Ji Feng deliberately asked, "Brother Pei, you okay?" It was easy for the others to give up because I had no connection to them, but Brother Pei was my brother. Even if we weren't blood-related, after so many years together, you'd grow attached even to a dog, let alone a living person. I'm fine. No one said another word. They silently killed any zombies they saw, and the good mood they'd had earlier seemed to have vanished. On my end, I had no idea that I'd left. It also dampened Pei Yan and the others' spirits. I was in a pretty good mood at this point. This road was the main road leading to the hospital. There were a lot of cars. Because of the heavy rain, the water level had risen, and now all these cars were submerged. Many of the cars still had zombies trapped inside. Level 1 zombies have no intelligence. Even if the door is closed, they won't open it. They can sense human presence, but they only keep ramming the door with brute force, trying to break it open. I was flying effortlessly above them, checking every single car. Whenever I saw a zombie inside, I helped them by opening the door, then neatly picked out the golden core from the zombie. Once the golden core was in hand, I absorbed it on the spot. This meant the more zombies I killed, the stronger I became. There was no sign of exhaustion at all, like a perpetual motion machine. Felt amazing. After clearing out most of the street, I finished absorbing all the golden cores, and my whole body was brimming with power. I was in a great mood. It's just that they were too weak. Not a single one could put up a fight. Just a few more meters and I'd reach the main entrance of the hospital. I could already see it from afar. In front of the hospital, near the parking lot, it was packed with zombies. My eyes lit up. Sure enough, there were plenty of zombies. My movements involuntarily sped up. Just then, I noticed a light flickering around me. I frowned slightly. Following the light source, I looked up. In a residential building across from the hospital, around the 12th or 13th floor by the window, 3 heads were crowded together. One person was holding up a large whiteboard with SOS written on it. Another was using a flashlight, constantly shining the light at me to get my attention. And the third was frantically waving at me, to rescue them or not. That wasn't even a question. I glanced up at the people in the building, then ignored them. I continued clearing the zombies from the remaining cars. The 3 people upstairs saw me look at them, then act as if I hadn't seen them at all. They immediately got angry and deflated. The middle-aged man holding the flashlight was furious, revealing a mouthful of yellow teeth. He saw us just now, didn't he? But he pretended he didn't. Clearly, he doesn't want to save us. The woman holding up the whiteboard, looking very haggard, lowered it and glanced timidly at the middle-aged man. "Old Wang. He won't save us. What do we do?" The middle-aged man, fuming, looked like he was about to explode. He raised his hand and slapped her across the face. "What can we do? If he doesn't save us, then he's not going anywhere either." The other person was also a woman, but compared to the haggard one, she was noticeably younger, barely over 20. "Brother, are you thinking?" The middle-aged man felt better after being called brother in that coquettish tone. He pulled the woman into his arms. "Get the phone. That bastard came from where? Clearing zombies from the main road? He really thinks he can just waltz in. I'll show him what it means to get a dose of reality." The young woman gave the man a flirtatious look, then went inside to get the phone. After the apocalypse, most electronics were basically useless, only good for passing the time. Even a fully charged device would be dead after 3 months. But hey, it's the apocalypse now. If your own device died, there were always others. The young woman brought the phone over, turning it on. "Brother, this phone still has about 10% battery. Should be enough without wasting it." "Smart girl." The middle-aged man glanced at her with a lecherous grin. "Later, you can give your brother a little charge. We'll go down another floor." The young woman gave a coy smile and handed the phone to him. The man took it, opened a music app, turned the volume all the way up, and played a super hype song. He tossed it down toward me as I was still clearing zombies below. The phone's volume was maxed out, and in this open area where there were only faint sounds and zombie howls, it was especially jarring. Level 1 zombies are very sensitive to noise. Some zombies that were a bit farther away and hadn't sensed me yet now heard the sound and came charging in my direction. The phone fell right next to me. Seeing this, I swiftly killed the last zombie inside the car. With a single stroke, I looked up again toward the building across the street. That man seemed to be waiting for my reaction. When he saw me look over, he flashed a provocative grin. Afraid I might not see clearly, he even thoughtfully flipped me off. I saw it and gave a faint smile. It had really been a long time since I'd seen an idiot daring enough to mess with me. The reason that middle-aged man was provoking me like this, aside from me ignoring their plea for help, was that he had awakened a strength-type ability. But more importantly, it was because there was a level 2 zombie at the bottom of their building. The man didn't know the exact location, but after clearing floor by floor from the 33rd to the 12th, he grew more and more afraid to go further down. This woman clearly had an ability, and a powerful one at that. If I came looking for him for revenge, then whether he could kill me or not, I would run into that level 2 zombie, and it would turn into a fight to the death with my enemy. Couldn't be more satisfying. Just as the middle-aged man was smug about his scheme, his smile froze on his face. I was standing in midair, and zombies from all directions, drawn by the noise earlier, were rushing over with all their might. I didn't move, just flew higher to make sure none of the zombies could reach me. Then I watched the middle-aged man, who had withdrawn his hand and was still watching the show. I curled my lips and said, "God says, bring the man in front of me." The next second, the middle-aged man's face showed terror as he felt an invisible force controlling him, pushing him toward the window. Startled, he instinctively grabbed the woman beside him, only to realize the force was so strong it dragged both of them along. Seeing this, Old Wong froze. Old Wong held the young woman with one hand and grabbed the cabinet door with the other, but it was useless. Feeling his body being controlled, the young woman tried to shake off Old Wong's hand, but how could she break free from a power attractor? Old Wong easily shook off the young woman's hand. Watching the two of them fall toward the street, he felt a surge of satisfaction. After all, if that man survived, it would be a heavy blow to him, and next time it might be his turn to feed the zombies. In this life, seeing someone beside him die before him, look at that Chui woman, she couldn't help but show a smile. After the apocalypse, his eyes had been dull as dead water. He had never imagined an ability that could control people out of thin air, which was why that man dared to come provoke me so arrogantly. He was counting on me having no way to stop him. Under the man's screams, his body slowly descended to my side. Before he could react, I raised my foot and kicked him. The man and the woman he was still clutching fell faster into the water. Lucky for them, they landed directly on a car floating in the water. The noise immediately attracted the zombies that had been drawn by the cell phone earlier, eager to grab and bite me. The man didn't have time to speak. Old Wong stood up, threw a steel knife he carried, and killed the first zombie that came at him. I watched from above with a smile as the man killed zombies. As soon as he finished one, the golden core automatically flew into my hand. Obviously, I intended to squeeze every last bit of value out of him before he died. The man had awakened a power attraction ability. After the apocalypse, he had fought his way from the 33rd floor down to the 12th, so he had some skill. At the very least, his ability level had already reached level 2, but faced with an ever-increasing swarm of zombies, he would eventually run out of strength. As for the woman beside him, before the zombies could even start gnawing on the man, he kicked her far away. He did this not to save her, but to let her draw away some of the zombies. It worked. As the woman was kicked away, some zombies sensed the movement and lunged at her. The poor woman let out just one scream before 5 or 6 zombies tore her apart and devoured her. Bright red blood flowed into the filthy water, and the strong smell of blood made every zombie present howl with excitement. They went into a frenzy, piling on top of each other. The man lunged forward. His hand holding the steel knife was trembling. I sheathed my sword, crossed my arms, and said, "I don't have an unfilial descendant like you. Please, save me. Please spare me. I'll do anything for you. I beg you." I ignored him, as the man's strength gave out, and he saw the endless wave of zombies. He flew into a rage and shouted, "You damn!" Before he could finish, a flash of sword light passed. The man's eyes widened, and his steel knife dropped into the water. His body fell backward. In the last moment of his life, he saw countless zombies rushing toward him. A single corpse couldn't satisfy the zombies. Instead, it only intensified their craving for human flesh. But I was flying high, and no matter how they jumped below, they couldn't touch me at all. In fact, I didn't even need to hold the sword by hand. I simply used spiritual power to drive it. That sword, weaving back and forth through the zombie horde, bodies of the dead zombies dropped like loot. Each time a zombie fell, golden essence flew toward me, and I didn't store it. I basically grabbed it and absorbed it on the spot. But the commotion here must have been too loud. It quickly attracted other zombies, especially one with a distinct, loud sound. A female voice suddenly reached my ears. I turned slightly and saw that, at the base of the building across from me, a zombie had actually jumped out. Couldn't fly, but it leaped 3 meters high. Not only did it jump high, it also jumped far. This zombie was male. Its face was twisted now. Half of it had been eaten away, with rotting flesh crawling with maggots. Maggots squirmed constantly between the rotten meat and its grayish eyes. Its thick lips let out a low growl. It shook its one remaining arm, its face twisted in rage, and lunged at me fast. I dodged quickly, and the sword returned to my hand. Back in my grip, I was about to move forward when a headwind appeared in front of me, mixed into the air. I quickly sidestepped, but the wind mercilessly cut down the zombie beside me. A wind element zombie. My eyes lit up. This zombie was clearly different from ordinary ones, so its golden essence should be different too. The zombie seemed to sense my contempt. At my contemptuous attitude, a strong whirlwind instantly surrounded me. That invisible wind formed faintly visible solid wind arrows in the air, powerful and swift. And they could change direction. When I dodged the wind arrows, they immediately chased after me. I stopped playing cat and mouse with the zombie. I flashed right next to it, and though it moved fast, using its wind ability to dodge, I was faster. With a quick slash of my sword, I fished out a blue golden essence with the tip of my blade. I sensed the energy inside it. Sure enough, it was about 10 times stronger than the previous ones. In a good mood, I watched the zombie's body being devoured by other zombies and said softly, "Mess with me? You picked the wrong one." After fighting for a while, that haggard woman was holding up a whiteboard. The words on it were no longer SOS, but, "There's plenty of ready-made golden essence here." Clearly, the woman knew I wasn't a bleeding heart. Morality didn't work on me, so she had to try appealing to my interests. She had seen clearly, or rather, her fellow ability users all loved golden essence. I glanced at the woman and asked, "Can you cook well?" They were so far apart, but the haggard woman felt as if the question was whispered right in her ear. Ignoring my supernatural power, she quickly nodded, "Yes, I can cook well. My dad used to be a chef." My eyes lit up. At a time when all flying ability users were at most level 2 and could only fly 5 or 6 meters high, I flew straight up to the 12th floor where the woman was. Seeing me defy Newton's laws and hover in midair, the woman felt her mind blown. However, she didn't show it on her face. Instead, she said very ingratiatingly, "Ma'am, do you need me to help you inside?" "No need." I flew straight in through the window. Upon landing inside, I first took a look at the apartment. Surprisingly, it was fairly clean. Seeming to notice my confusion, the woman volunteered, "After the apocalypse, we moved down floor by floor from the 33rd floor, so the apartments are still pretty clean. I also tidy up regularly. My name is Lu Guixiang. Just call me Xiao Lu." I sat down on a clean wooden stool. "Those two earlier, what were they to you?" Lu Guixiang hesitated but still answered, "That man was my husband. We originally lived on the top floor. After the apocalypse, he awakened a strength-type ability. As for the other woman, she was a college student from the 20th floor. Her whole family had been infected, except for her. To survive, she submitted to my husband." "Oh, so I killed your husband. Don't you hate me?" "Why would I hate you, ma'am? I wished him dead." In Lu Guixiang's eyes, there was deep hatred. He took away our family's entire business. The Lu family restaurant was my father's life's work. It always had a good reputation. But after he passed away, I was too incompetent to manage it. The Lu family restaurant was my father's life's work. It always had a good reputation. But after he passed away, I was too incompetent to manage it. Only knows how to cook, step by step taken by him, that's enough. I interrupted him, regarding the love-hate relationship between Lu Xiaoping and her husband. Not interested, of course, just based on what he said. What happened later, as long as Lu Wei guessed, she could know. "The gold box you mentioned? It's in the room. I'll go get it for you." Lu Xiaoping quickly entered the room, and soon came out with a small cardboard box. There were quite a few gold boxes inside. Lu Xiaoping looked, he has a superpower, but he doesn't know it. How to absorb these gold boxes. He just kept collecting them, only knowing last month. So he absorbs gold boxes every day to improve his strength, according to him. He is a level 2 strength-type superpower user. But I grabbed a handful of gold boxes from the box and started absorbing. But even though he is a level 2 superpower user, he dares not go down because he said below, there is a very dangerous aura, at least a level 2, or even level 3 zombie. So we've been staying on the 12th floor for several days, never daring to go down. Lu Xiaoping is truly afraid of Wang Cheng, terrified from the bottom of his heart. So to survive, he had to swallow his pride. Now that such a beast is dead, he can only say heaven has eyes. Maybe there's a level 3 zombie? I immediately extended my mental power to probe downwards. In the end, disappointed. There is a level 2 zombie, no level 3 zombie. But a level 2 zombie is fine, better than an ordinary zombie. I'm not in a hurry to kill that zombie. Under Lu Guixiang's shocked gaze, in less than 2 minutes, he finished absorbing all those gold boxes. Lu Guixiang has no supplies left here, only some open bags of cookies. I look at those, tidying up the bits and pieces with disdain. The dishes included pickled fish, various seafood dishes. We did pretty well too. After all, this is a coastal city, lots of seafood, many tourists. So my dad researched some seafood recipes, and they received unanimous praise from diners. From what you say, your dad seems like a great cook. My skills. Probably only the tip of the iceberg of my dad's skills. Mentioning his father, Lu Guixiang's gaze dimmed. Too bad dad died in a car accident, otherwise with dad around, the Lu family business would never have fallen into disrepute. I raised an eyebrow. Have you ever considered that dad might not have died in an accident, sir? What do you mean? Lu Guixiang, having been enlightened, his proud mind cleared up. His eyes instantly reddened. It's me, I killed dad. It's me, poor him, didn't even know dad was killed. Didn't know, had to be reminded by others. If he had known earlier, even if it meant dying, he would have taken that man down with him. I have no feeling for Lu Guixiang's pain. No feeling, I only care about my own matters. If it's seafood, Where should I go? By the way, can you make spicy crayfish? Lu Guixiang struggled to control his emotions, answering with a nasal voice. Yes. I know all the dishes my dad knew, but mine aren't as tasty. But there are no seasonings or ingredients here. So, let's just have a simple meal, then we'll go find supplies. The word ability can naturally make spicy crayfish appear, but what I want to eat is the original, authentic taste. I'm not interested in what the word ability conjures. God said, before my eyes, there are 4 cream buns. Lu Guixiang was about to say he'd give me the remaining cookies. Then he saw this adult suddenly say a strange sentence, and then 4 cream buns appeared before his eyes. What does this mean? Can conjure supplies out of thin air? Then he'll never starve to death, right? After eating and resting a bit, we'll go find supplies. Lu Guixiang was a bit puzzled. Doesn't this adult have the ability to conjure supplies himself? Why still go looking for them? Of course, he could only wonder in his heart, not daring to ask at all. Lu Xiaoping knew in his heart that my current approachable demeanor is because he still has value. Once he has no value or the food doesn't taste good, the other party will abandon him without hesitation. He hasn't forgotten the other party is not a good person. Things like cream buns. Before the apocalypse, food that was taken for granted became a luxury afterward. Lu Guixiang ate the soft, fragrant bread. He felt the beauty of being alive again. After eating, Lu Guixiang packed a bag. Inside, he put some of Aunt Jinha's change of clothes and also that half bag of cookies. He also put in a bottle of water. The adult didn't care. He couldn't afford to be careless. Let's go. First, clear this building. Let's go. First, clear this building. Lu Xiaoping was trembling with fear. Follow behind me. Previously, when Wang Cheng killed zombies, he would occasionally have him scout ahead. The terrifying appearance of the zombies left a huge psychological shadow on him. He lifted his eyes to glance at the adult in front. Seeing that I did not make him go ahead to scout, Lu Guixiang breathed a sigh of relief inwardly. The zombies on the 12th floor had all been cleared by Wang Cheng, so I went directly to the fire escape. Planning to go downstairs, I pushed open the fire door that held a warning sign. A creaking sound echoed. In the stairwell, where only breathing could be heard, it was exceptionally loud. Lu Guixiang's heart pounded rapidly. He clutched the hem of his clothes with both hands. Staring fixedly down the stairs, if the adult couldn't handle it, he would turn back immediately. He would rather starve to death than be bitten by zombies and become a walking corpse. Just then, he saw a sword suddenly appear in the hands of the person ahead. He shouted something. Lu Xiaoping was startled but didn't overreact. After the apocalypse, he had learned to control himself well and not scream out loud. The sound of the door opening indeed attracted the zombies downstairs, as if a switch had been flipped. Many zombies began to let out impatient groans in unison, like wolves howling in the mountains. Bang bang bang. Some of the zombies, missing arms or legs, stumbled and rushed upstairs. I did not stop walking. Continuing down, when I saw the zombies, I threw the sword out. Using spiritual power to drive the sword, in no time I killed the 2 zombies coming up. Jinha flew back into my hand, yet the sword still hung in the air. Lu Xiaoping watched the scene, once again shocked in his heart. He had lost count of how many times he had been shocked by this person in the short time since meeting me. But he had already realized, this adult was very powerful. Extremely powerful. If he could stay by my side, his safety would be guaranteed. More importantly, the adult was female. After the apocalypse, even though Lu Xiaoping hadn't gone out to see the outside world, just based on this building, he had already seen moral decay and the loss of humanity. If a woman had no value, she was a disaster or a plaything, just like that female college student, who constantly used her body to please Wang Cheng. Wang Cheng was old enough to be her father. To survive, she humiliated herself by calling him Big Brother. Lu Guixiang did not mean to look down on the female college student. She wanted to survive, and hadn't harmed anyone, only harmed herself. Only harmed herself. Others couldn't say anything. Going down to the 11th floor, I led Lu Guixiang directly to the hallway. Here, there were 2 apartments per floor, facing each other. Heard that there were likely zombies inside each door, constantly banging against the doors with their bodies. The doors were shaking unsteadily, as if they could be broken open at any moment. I walked to one of the doors and slid my hand directly to the middle of the door. The iron door of that back apartment actually split open from the middle. The zombies inside, aided by my help, broke the door open all at once. It was probably a family of 3. Clearly, one pair were the parents and a little boy around 10 years old. The bodies of all 3 were relatively intact, with no bite marks. Probably when the virus broke out, none of their immune systems held up, and they all turned into zombies together. I had no particular feelings. After killing this family of 3 with a swing of my sword, as I looked around the room, Lu Guixiang had already found a bag and collected the edible supplies. Sir, there's still quite a bit of rice and flour here. What should we do? Lu Guixiang hadn't eaten rice in a long time. Even with water and fire, it couldn't be cooked. To have him throw it away, he couldn't bear to. Even though he didn't know the situation outside, he knew that rice, flour, and such things were absolutely scarce resources. I casually said something. Collect the supplies and put them in the living room. I'll get them later. I said that and started wandering around the house, ending up in what seemed like the kids' room. The room was messy, dusty, and had a faint rotten smell. but I immediately spotted a snack basket on the study desk and rushed over. There were quite a few snacks inside. From the original owner's memories, I recognized the names. This is spicy strips, really tasty. This is jelly. This one's called crispy rice, these are nuts, and this is instant noodles. I just hooked the basket over my arm, opened a pack of spicy strips, and started eating. As the food hit my mouth, the spicy flavor burst in. Really packs a punch. I don't usually eat much spice, and I'm not great with heat, but I still couldn't bring myself to spit it out. People in this era are amazing. How do they make such delicious food? In the other rooms, I didn't find any more food, but in the master bedroom, I spotted a locked box. After I opened it, I found it full of jewelry and gold. I immediately felt let down. I thought there'd be something good hidden. I stood up, not planning to take the gold and jewelry. Lu Guixiang, who had just come in, was speaking quietly when he spotted the obvious pile of gold bars and jewelry. Oh my god, so many gold bars. Lu Guixiang's family wasn't poor either, but he figured they weren't as rich as this household. And as a native Chinese person, no one can resist gold. What's up? I went through the cabinets again, they were just full of clothes. Just then, my eyes suddenly lit up when I spotted some clothes with tags still on. I've never worn a dress before. The clothes Shinji Bai and the others gave me were all jeans or casual pants, practical stuff. Lu Guixiang reluctantly tore his gaze away from the gold. Ma'am, I've gathered all the edible supplies. The seafood and veggies in the fridge have gone bad. Can't use them anymore. I pointed at the row of clothes with tags still on. Pick out all the clothes with price tags. Okay. Lu Guixiang moved quickly, sorting the clothes. There weren't many with tags, so he finished soon. Everything was piled up in the living room. And honestly, this family's supplies were pretty impressive. 2 5-kilogram bags of vacuum-packed rice, plus some regular rice Lu Guixiang packed in a clean plastic bag. Besides rice, there was an open bag of flour about 5 or 6 pounds, and half a box of rice noodles. A carton of milk, bagged noodles, a jumbo pack of instant noodles with 2 big bags inside, a small bag of sweet potato starch noodles, a bag of lonko vermicelli, a jug of oil, and a bunch of bottled condiments. I glanced over and set aside a dress to keep. Didn't you take the gold? I saw it just now. Lu Guixiang, after seeing all that gold, had his eyes shining. He looked dazed now, waved his hand, and the stuff in the living room vanished. Hearing my question, he immediately answered, "Gold is heavy, I can't carry it. Right now I can't. But you, ma'am, could just wave your hand and take it." I didn't want to bother, but then I thought about how I still wanted to taste Lu Guixiang's cooking. So for once, I was considerate. "If you want that gold, I'll help you carry it." Lu Guixiang thought it over and went to grab it. Not because he wanted it, but because he felt the ma'am didn't really understand money. Now that it's the apocalypse, cash is useless. But gold and jewelry, they might become a hard currency. The ma'am might need them later. Thinking this, Lu Guixiang didn't realize. His mindset had shifted from latching onto a powerful ally to wholeheartedly serving my interests. Probably because of my mysterious methods. After unconsciously conquering him and bringing out the gold, Lu Guixiang discovered that I had already changed out of my all-black sportswear into a white dress. It had no extra frills, just some small, delicate details, simple and elegant. And on my feet, a pair of pretty silver high heels, very tall, about 7 or 8 centimeters. "Ma'am." I glanced over. "That's it?" He nodded blankly. I waved my hand, and the gold vanished before our eyes. "Let's go." I took the lead and walked out. Lu Guixiang followed behind, watching carefully. Seeing that even wearing such high heels, I still walked very steadily, he breathed a sigh of relief. The Great One is indeed the Great One. Even wearing such high heels, you walk faster and more steadily than me. Then Lu Xiaoping's mouth stayed open, gaping wider and wider. No matter how many zombies, none survived in that locked place. Even the level 2 zombie on the 8th floor that Wang Cheng had always feared only lasted 3 seconds under my sword. As for the other zombies, naturally they were cut in 2 in 1 second. Lu Xiaoping went from trembling with fear, hunched over to standing tall, and then seeing those emitting foul stench, hideous and terrifying zombies, he didn't feel so afraid anymore. Indeed, as long as you have strength, hey, as long as you latch onto a powerful thigh, even the most terrifying things are vulnerable. Arriving on the 1st floor, I didn't see a single living person. But according to Lu Xiaoping, there were people here before. However, because there was a very powerful zombie on the 8th floor, they didn't dare go down. When supplies ran out, they went upward. In the end, these people basically all became Wang Cheng's pawns. Coming downstairs, I used word spirit to conjure a lifeboat. There weren't many zombies in the neighborhood. I easily took care of them. I hadn't even entered the hospital yet, but the harvest from this building had restored my power to about 10%. I was glad I hadn't continued following Pei Yan and his group. They would never have come here. With their pace, when would I have restored this 10% of power? I drove the lifeboat floating toward the hospital opposite. I was going to the hospital across the way. Are you following me or waiting outside? The zombies around here have basically been cleared by me. Lu Xiaoping won't be in much danger outside. If he doesn't counter zombies, he can run to the hospital. Great One, I'll follow you, Lu Xiaoping quickly replied. Afraid that I would abandon him. The hospital's zombies were indeed dense. As soon as Lu Xiaoping and I stepped in, those zombies, as if a switch had been flipped, all lunged at us. Unfortunately, due to the water's resistance, their movements were clumsy. As I drove my sword to kill zombies, out of the corner of my eye, I saw Lu Xiaoping's envious and admiring gaze. "Who are you?" God said. "I have a light steel knife that can cut zombies." It was handed to Lu Xiaoping. "Great one, this is Mo's. Relying on others is not as good as relying on yourself." "I can't protect you forever," I said cruelly. The zombies in the hospital were very ugly because the outbreak was more severe here. It was a world of biting each other. Plus, due to being soaked in water for days, their bodies were swollen and bloated, like waterlogged corpses. Lu Xiaoping took the steel knife, suppressing his urge to vomit, and stood up. There was a leftover zombie in front. Its upper and lower lips were gone, exposing teeth mixed with blood and green. Half its nose was missing. Its left eye was grayish-white with no eyeball, smudged with a large patch of bloodstains, with many white maggots wriggling on it. Due to the apocalypse's mutation, these maggots were generally larger than before, biting into the rotting flesh around the zombie. Embedded in the flesh, the stench was like rotten eggs left for a long time. This smell was nauseating. Even after so long in the apocalypse, Lu Xiaoping still couldn't stand it. He had been forcing it down, but now with the zombie near, the smell shot straight to his brain. He could barely move. Just then, a calm voice came from beside him. "Aim for the head. Split it right down the middle like a watermelon. If you don't have enough strength, just cut the head off. Split it down the middle." Lu Xiaoping still couldn't help but yell, his hands gripping the steel knife tightly. With one direct strike, he split the zombie from the middle of its face. He used all his strength in that blow. He actually split the zombie's head in two, revealing the gold box inside. Lu Xiaoping's eyes lit up. Ignoring the feeling that he had killed someone, he reached out and grabbed the gold box. The common zombie's corpse fell into the water. Lu Xiaoping looked at the beautiful gold box in his hand, his eyes red with excitement. He wiped the gold box on his clothes. He sincerely handed it to me. "Great one, for you to use." I gave it a disdainful glance. The gold box wasn't clean, and wiping it on his dirty clothes made it even dirtier. "Great one, This Mo's gold box is more valuable than gold. Keep it for yourself." Lu Xiaoping's eyes reddened again. So the Great One is such a good person. How could he have thought she wasn't good? I was just not good with words. Just lonely as snow, with a sharp tongue but a soft heart. Seeing the grateful look in his eyes, I was full of question marks. I didn't really understand these mortals' thoughts. With me clearing the way ahead, occasionally letting one or two zombies slip through. Extremely terrifying zombies, I've come to kill them for Lu Guixiang. He also became able to face these ugly zombies directly and cleanly wielded his steel knife, like cutting watermelons. Splitting the zombie's head in two. He used to study cooking, so he had enough strength. Plus his steel knife was very sharp and pointed, making 1 + 1 greater than 2. He dealt with zombies, gradually becoming more adept. The huge hospital had 4 level 2 zombies. That number compared to the flow of people was still a bit low, but better than none. I raised my hand to take them out. There were many buildings in the hospital. Even if I moved fast, I couldn't clear them all in a day. After clearing 3 buildings, it started getting dark. Nighttime zombies were a bit stronger than daytime zombies. It didn't make a difference to me, but killing all day was kind of boring. "Sir, it's almost dark." "Yeah, let's go find a room to stay in across the street." The neighborhood across the street was a high-end development built in recent years. The neighborhood wasn't big overall. There were only 10 buildings total. Aside from the one Lu Guixiang lived in, I hadn't cleared the others. I have to say, there were really a lot of zombies in this busy downtown area. I've recovered about 10% of my power. Since I didn't need to rush to clear zombies anymore, I took Lu Guixiang on a lifeboat back to the neighborhood across the street. I found a suite on the 4th floor to stay in temporarily. Lu Guixiang thought about the ingredients we cleared today and asked, "Sir, what are we having for dinner?" "Just cook some eggs for yourself. I'll eat snacks." The snack basket we found earlier after I ate quite a bit was refilled. "Follow me to the kitchen." Lu Guixiang followed me to the kitchen. I waved my hand, and the gas stove lit up. In the empty pot were 2 eggs and a bottle of water. "Cook the eggs yourself. No problem, right?" "No." I carried the basket to the dining table, looked at the basket full of snacks, and picked through them. "Let's start with the spicy one. Pretty fragrant." Lu Guixiang, through the glass door of the kitchen, watched the thin girl in the white dress, feeling warmth in his heart. Eggs, a common food in everyday life, but he hadn't eaten one in a long time. After the simple boiled eggs were done, the fire went out on its own. Lu Guixiang brought the eggs to the dining table. "Sir, are we going to the hospital to kill zombies again tomorrow?" Today, with my help, he killed 5 zombies and got 5 crystal cores. Not a lot, but it was a huge step he took towards surviving the apocalypse. "No. I've recovered a good amount of power, and I don't feel like deliberately killing zombies anymore. You mentioned you're good at cooking seafood. I want to eat seafood. Where can we get it?" "It's not in the same direction as Dongcheng or the base. I'd need to go back." "Yeah. Weiqing has a developed tourism industry, and it's by the sea with multiple ports. Seafood is abundant there. I just don't know if those seafood have mutated." Lu Guixiang thought, then suddenly remembered when Wangqing was in the brothel. He heard that a resident on the 20th floor kept a toy poodle. Before the apocalypse, the poodle was small. After the apocalypse, it turned out to be the size of a regular golden retriever. But aside from its size, the poodle didn't develop any special abilities. Seafood should be the same, right? Crayfish become big lobsters. As for that dog, without any ability to protect itself in the apocalypse, it would just end up as someone's food. The couple on the 20th floor had been agonizing over not eating their dog son. In the end, Wangqing butchered it. It had mutated. I'd heard Pei Yan mention this before. I bit into a piece of crispy noodles, chewing as I spoke. It seems the southern province base is built in Weiqing. I heard those sea creatures have come ashore to catch humans. Lu Guixiang's face turned pale. Right? He was only thinking about how the usual food got bigger, but what about the carnivorous ones in the sea? Like sharks and whales. They were terrifying enough to see on a normal day. After the apocalypse, Lu Guixiang couldn't imagine how huge they would become. After all, a toy poodle could grow to the size of a golden retriever. But so what? No one can stop me from eating what I want to eat. My tone was light, as if it carried no weight. But Lu Guixiang could feel the dominance and confidence in it. I glanced at that person. After finishing the crispy noodles, I was in a good mood as I picked out the next snack from the basket. Looking quite childish. But only Lu Guixiang knew how powerful I really was. Right? Even if sharks, whales, and those sea creatures all came ashore to catch humans, in front of my lord, it's just a matter of 1 second or 3 seconds. 1 second for a level 1 zombie, 3 seconds for a level 2 zombie. Lu Guixiang treasured his 2 eggs and finished them. Over at my place, I got clean sheets and covers and gave the whole room a thorough cleaning. Sir, everything is tidied up. Get some sleep early. Tomorrow we head to Crooked City. Yes. Tonight was much quieter, the most comfortable sleep Lu Guixiang had since the apocalypse began. The most peaceful sleep. No words were spoken that night. The next morning, after a simple breakfast of eggs and milk, the two of them went downstairs to leave. Just as they exited the neighborhood, they saw a large patch of red in the distance. They were all wearing matching combat uniforms and carrying guns. One man stood at the front holding binoculars. Captain, there are 2 women ahead. One of them has a steel blade. No zombies in sight. Still no zombies. This is a top-tier hospital in H City. Too strange. A man beside the binoculars, tall with long legs, sharp features and standing ramrod straight, looked over in my direction. They were from the Southern Province Base Army, codename Wolf Fong Special Forces, 10 in total. They had received orders from the base to act as the vanguard, clearing a path to the top-tier hospital and checking the situation. They thought this mission would be rough, but unexpectedly, the closer they got to the hospital, the fewer zombies there were. It was truly bizarre. At the same time, Lu Guixiang and I also spotted the people in the distance immediately. Lu Guixiang tensed up, gripping her steel blade tightly. Sir, there are a lot of people. They have abilities. Lu Guixiang couldn't see the distant people clearly, but I could see them perfectly. They're not bad people. In the original owner's memory, these people were called soldiers. Just seeing their uniforms calmed every Chinese person's heart. I stopped and didn't move forward anymore. I just stood there. When they got closer, Lu Guixiang saw their clothes and got excited. They're soldiers. Rescue team is here to save us. They speeded over. The 2 sides finally met. The captain standing at the front spoke first. Hello, comrades. We are Wolf Fong Special Forces. I'm Captain Hui Gong. Hello, Captain Uncle. We're residents of this neighborhood. Lu Guixiang pointed to the neighborhood next door. We happen to be heading to the Southern Province base today. How's the situation at the base? Is there plenty of seafood? The first part was normal enough, but then why ask about seafood? Also, the woman in front of him was almost 40, right? Calling a 28-year-old young man uncle, well, that worked. He was used to it. More importantly, the person in front of him, from a distance he thought his eyes were playing tricks on him. Now he realized it was true. She was wearing a white dress, with sky-high heels on her feet. The fine rain fell on me, seeming to land, yet somehow not because my clothes weren't wet at all. Hui Gong composed himself. He glanced at me beside Lu Guixiang. There are quite a few ability users at the base, so safety is somewhat guaranteed. If you want to go to the Southern Province base, you can wait until we finish our mission. We'll take you back, or when our colleagues arrive later, you can go back with them. Lu Guixiang looked at me and didn't reply. Whether to go with the soldiers wasn't his decision to make. I glanced at them. You're here to clear the way, right? Trying to find something in the hospital? Maybe I can help. Hui Gong was surprised at how sharp I was, that I'd even guessed their mission. He quickly asked, Comrade, do you know what's going on with this hospital? Why are there so few zombies? As far as the eye can see, there isn't a single zombie. Just now, as they came along, they had also seen many zombie corpses, probably all drifting over from here. I don't know. I put on an innocent face. I'm just a resident of this neighborhood. Before, there were so many zombies that I didn't dare come out. It's only in the past few days that I noticed the zombies seemed to be gone. So I came out. Hui Gong keenly noticed that when I said I didn't know, the expression on Lu Guixiang's face flickered for a moment, not well concealed. They definitely knew something, but just weren't saying it. You really don't know anything? The zombies suddenly disappeared. We didn't hear a sound from inside the house. No, Hui Gong was already certain. This young girl must be hiding something. He thought for a moment and said, the journey back is dangerous. Would you like to wait until we finish our mission and go back with us? We also thought about it. I want to leave in the next 2 days. Can you finish your mission in 2 days? If someone protects, no need to lift a finger. Isn't that just lying back and enjoying? I'm not a hard worker. On the contrary, I love to enjoy life. I'll tell Hui Gong that I'm not sure, but I'll inform my colleagues later. They should arrive later and you can choose to go with them then. Since there's protection, I took out a small rattan paper stool from my space and sat down. Lu Xiaoping beside me quickly took an umbrella from his backpack and held it over me. The man with a telescope hanging around his neck next to Hui Gong, looking young, probably just over 20 with red lips and white teeth, not at all like the typical image of a rugged soldier, but rather a handsome male college student. He couldn't help asking, are you mother and daughter? Fei was genuinely curious about what this older woman looked like. She felt as if she had seen a servant in the Qing dynasty palace. Before I could speak, Lu Xiaoping quickly waved his hand in denial. Don't talk nonsense. How could I possibly have a daughter like Milady? I'm just Milady's servant. After thinking for a while, Lu Xiaoping couldn't find a suitable word. Good grief. I was just thinking that, and he actually admitted to being a servant. And, Milady. What kind of address is that? One calling the other Milady, and the other servant. Could it be that they really time-traveled from the Qing dynasty? Hui Gong saw that they were unwilling to reveal anything. He hadn't forgotten his mission this time. Follow us. We're going into the hospital now. Hui Gong turned back and told them, his voice steady, attention all, target is the hospital. Be on guard, ready to move. Everyone back to the vehicles. One by one, rescue boats drifted into the hospital. Inside it was extremely empty, with only various cars, electric scooters, and zombie corpses floating on the water, along with many unidentified items. My rescue boat was at the back. I sat on the stool, and Lu Guixiong stood beside me holding an umbrella for me. If not for the surroundings, one would think some young lady was out for a joyride. The Wolf Fong Special Forces, all on high alert, after entering the outermost outpatient building of the hospital, found that inside were all zombie corpses. This should have been one of the most dangerous places after the apocalypse, but now not a single zombie could be seen. Who could have such strength to clear all the zombies from the outpatient building? Even the southern province base, with all its effort, wouldn't find it that easy. Not that it's impossible, but the cost-benefit ratio is too low. The effort doesn't match the reward. For dangerous places like this, people usually wait until they are much stronger before considering an attack. Their coming here this time was also a last resort. The base has some research talents, but they need many high-tech precision equipment. Where would ordinary hospital clinics have such equipment? Only top-tier hospitals have it. As for why they didn't go to a hospital in the outer city but came to H-City, after analysis they found that hospitals in the outer city were more dangerous. H-City is relatively a bit better than the outer city. As for even smaller cities, it's not that there aren't any, but they are too far from Wei City. Who knows what might happen during transport? In conclusion, after overall consideration, they chose this hospital in H-City. Everyone pair up and conduct a thorough search. After pairing up, they spread out to search this outpatient building. Hu Yigong and Fei were a team. He turned to me and said, "You follow us, or do as you please. Don't worry. If we're in danger, we'll call you." I didn't hold back at all. Hu Yigong gave me a deep look, made a gesture and went off to search with Fei. This outpatient building had 9 floors in total. Searching floor by floor, they discovered there really isn't a single zombie here, and we haven't even found any supplies. No doubt someone else already cleared out this hospital before us. So, does that mean the things they wanted are already gone? After all, aside from the medical supplies and equipment in hospitals, apart from the southern province base, there are other large municipal pharmacies in southern province that stock medicine. All of it's gone. Wu Yigong thought over the purpose of this trip and led us straight to Building 1. Building 1 is right next to the outpatient building, and the equipment inside was what they were after. This building, like the outpatient one, was empty. All the equipment had been stripped out. They came all this way for nothing. Let's head to the inpatient complex. The inpatient complex was empty too. Just as Wu Yigong assumed the entire hospital was deserted. When they reached the 4th building, the admin building, they finally saw zombies again. "Captain, what now?" Fei asked while killing zombies. The admin building had relatively fewer zombies, but even a few was bad news. Killing zombies gave them gold river crystals, but clearing this place out offered no other benefits, and they might run into unknown dangers instead. "Let's retreat." Wu Yigong and his team fought off zombies as they pulled back. They quickly found a lifeboat and sped away from the hospital. Once they'd left the hospital, there were no zombies outside either, temporarily safe. Wu Yigong frowned slightly. There must be other large municipal hospitals in southern province, and we knew nothing about them. Whoever did this must be incredibly powerful. Medical equipment like that. I felt a little guilty, but then thought, "You has a face like a flower. What major faction The only power here is the adult. Those medicines and devices were already stored away in the adult space. If the Wolf Fang squad had come a day earlier, they might have run right into the adult. I was being pretty wicked too, watching the Wolf Fang people spin all sorts of conspiracy theories without saying a word. Plans have changed. We're heading back to base first. Once Wu Yigong made the call, no one objected. After all that trouble this morning, it was almost noon. Since there was no danger here, everyone found a dry spot to take shelter and decided to eat lunch before moving on. The rain had eased up quite a bit now, should be stopped by tomorrow at the latest, which was good news for humanity. Wu Yigong's team had a space ability user. The guy was pretty dark-skinned, with a big grin that showed a row of white teeth and ordinary features. He looked honest and simple. He pulled out the prepared lunch from his space. Lunch was basically rice balls wrapped in lettuce, with some fish or shrimp meat inside. Pretty decent, actually. They were originally supposed to get 2 rice balls each, but now with me and Lu Gui added, they had to share some out. Wu Yigong was hungry, but his expression was resolute. Give mine to them. The rice balls were as big as a woman's fist, so for a small appetite, even a woman could get full. No need, Captain Wu. We have our own food. The next second, Wu Yigong saw me wave my hand, and a huge pile of stuff appeared on the lifeboat. His eyes lit up. A space ability user. That was an incredibly rare power. Even if for now it only stored things, that alone was impressive, especially for a military team like theirs that often ran missions. Having a space ability user would be incredibly convenient. Lu Xiaoping set a small pot on an iron rack, then poured bottled water into the pot and put the lid on. Just as Wu Yigong looked confused, a ball of fire appeared out of nowhere under the pot. A fire ability user. He stared at me, eyes even brighter. A dual ability user. A dual ability user in the base? Wu Yigong wasn't a top expert in the base, and even though leveling up required double the gold river crystals, having an extra ability gave you an extra ace up your sleeve. In combat, whether against people or zombies, it opened up more possibilities, a better chance of survival. The others stopped eating their rice balls and watched me. In surprise, Fei Fei immediately invited, "Comrade, do you want to join our base's military? Great benefits, and they'll even set you up with a boyfriend. Change this, added personal stuff there." Huh? But Hu Yigong didn't say anything else. Fei Fei is young and has a lively personality. That's perfectly normal. No need to join, but I heard your base is pretty close to the harbor. Right? I'm really interested in the seafood there. Just as I was saying that, a strange, fragrant smell drifted through the air, catching everyone's attention. It was Lu Guixiang. She put the instant noodles into the pot of boiling water, then added the seasoning. She also added some eggs and ham sausages. The bubbling sound of the water made their stomachs rumble too. I didn't have time to care about the seafood that wasn't even in sight yet. I immediately fixed my eyes on the pot. After boiling for a while, Lu Guixiang used chopsticks to scoop the noodles into a bowl. She put all the eggs and sausages into the bowl meant for me. You should add an egg and a sausage to your own bowl too. I originally prepared 2 servings of eggs and sausages, but now that I think about it, I can't bear to give away what's in my bowl. I waved my hand and pulled out an egg and a ham sausage from my space. I handed them to Lu Guixiang, then took the big bowl, took a deep breath. So fragrant. These modern seasoning packets really smell amazing. I used my chopsticks to pick up a mouthful of noodles. As soon as I put it in my mouth, the fresh, spicy, and savory flavors exploded on my tongue. Lu Guixiang really is a chef. The noodles were cooked perfectly, not too soft at all. They were just right to eat. I inhaled the noodles like a storm, all my frustration about coming to this world, completely gone. Why didn't I come sooner? Seriously. Fei Fei, smelling the aroma, kept eating the somewhat bland rice ball in her own hands. Seafood rice balls were tasty, but they were really sick of them. No matter how good something is, eating it every day. Nobody can stand it. Take instant noodles, for example. They hadn't had them in a long time. Let alone this stuff. Its taste might be average, but the smell is irresistible. After slurping down all the noodles, I let out a burp. Out of the corner of my eye, I noticed a group of people sneaking sniffs. In a good mood, I was uncharacteristically generous. You guys want some? We still have more here. Hearing my invitation, many people secretly swallowed their saliva. But they firmly refused on the surface. No, we have food. Besides, we can't take a single needle or thread from the masses. After lunch, Hu Yigong and his group were a bit taken aback when they saw Lu Guixiang wastefully using bottled water to wash the pot. Isn't it raining? There's free rainwater. Why not use that? They could guess the reason for not using it. She must have a lot of supplies, and people with plenty of supplies usually meant strength. Because of the unexpected situation, Hu Yigong and his group were in a big hurry on their way back to the city. Their route back to the base was the same one they came from. They had scouted that route on the way here, so it was basically safe. Occasionally, they'd encounter a zombie. A single shot took care of it. If one shot didn't work, they'd fire another. From H City to Y City, Hu Yigong and his team had been through hell. It wasn't because of danger, but because every day at mealtime they ate dry, plain rice balls. While on the other side, we had all sorts of lavish meals. Their tears They knew the way well. Avoiding all dangerous spots, they soon returned to Nanxing Base. Nanxing Base was built near the harbor, or rather, it occupied a large area along the coast. This was undoubtedly dangerous because it was extremely close to the sea. But knowing the danger, they still built it here for a reason. If the base weren't here, to stop marine creatures from invading the land, then people living on land would be even more at risk. Only by building here could they first contain the dangers from the sea. Right at this spot, preventing them from coming ashore and adding more peril to an already struggling humanity. The base was built solidly. Its walls were made of various types of steel and metal. The main gate for humans to enter faced away from the sea. The gate facing the sea wasn't so much a gate as a battlefield. The base was built on high ground. This design was originally meant to defend against the ocean. Now, with the flood disaster, it wasn't a big problem. Once inside the base, there was no need for lifeboats. I walked in high heels. That beautiful white dress looked perfectly normal before the apocalypse. But now, I'm clean as a whistle, with a servant following me holding an umbrella, like some lady going on an outing. A lot of eyes were on me. There were many people at the base entrance, and I pretty much instantly caught their attention. Among all those stares, not far away, a guy in his early 20s had just finished trading something, and when he looked up, he saw me in my sky-high heels. Seriously, is she crazy? The guy muttered to himself, but his eyes couldn't hide a hint of envy. After all, anyone who dares to dress like that either has enough strength or enough backing. Others would want to dress like that but wouldn't dare. Of course, that didn't stop him from badmouthing. The guy quickly returned to his place. In the small kitchen, another guy was cooking seafood porridge, his face full of bitterness. Then his gaze fell on the other's hand. Instant noodles. You actually managed to trade for instant noodles. You eat these this week. I'll have the noodles. No way, bro, let's split them half and half. The guy immediately refused. After some back and forth, Big Brother Pei used his authority as the leader to claim 7/10 of the noodle block. The remaining 3/10 went to the younger guy. Once the noodles were boiled, Brother Pei finally asked Zhou, "What were you saying you saw earlier?" "Bro, I saw a girl at the base entrance. You'll never guess what she looked like." "What could she look like?" "2 eyes and 1 mouth, duh." "What, does she have an extra eye like Erlangshin?" Brother Pei kept his eyes on the noodles in the pot, answering absent-mindedly. "Can't you at least try to guess?" Before Brother Pei could guess again, Zhou couldn't hold it in and blurted out, "That girl was wearing a beautiful white dress, sky-high heels, and there was an older woman holding an umbrella for her. She was completely spotless, like a rich girl out on a parade." "Seriously, is she crazy? A dress is one thing, but wearing high heels is just asking for trouble, right?" Brother Pei had seen plenty of women in the base. Even the most powerful women just tried to stay clean, and if they ever wore a dress, it was always a fully covered one. Or else it was women with no power, who easily became playthings for men. The base was full of women deliberately dressing older or uglifying themselves. "Tell me about it, that's what I thought. I saw she was with some military unit, probably some base leader's daughter." Brother Pei said enviously, "I used to think I had a good starting point in life, but now I realize I was wrong. People who reincarnate well now are the real winners." As he talked, Brother Pei couldn't help thinking of his half-sister from the same mother. "I'm such a coward, and she's so petite she probably won't make it. Even if she survives, she'll probably be targeted by those bad guys." I was in the registration hall, applying for a base access pass. It was simple, they gave me an electronic watch and I just scan it when entering. The base had water, electricity, and internet, but you had to pay a fee to use them. After registering my identity, Hu Yigong and Feifei took me and Lu Guixiang to the next registration counter. This one was for ability registration, to assign housing based on your abilities. After Hu Yigong explained, he told the registration staff, "Su Yanxi, space and fire dual ability user. Do you have any other abilities?" I shook my head. Hu Yigong thought I was probably lying, but said, "Just register these two." The staff member was very excited, her eyes sparkling as she looked at me. "Ms. Su, please demonstrate your abilities." I casually took the pen holder in front of the staff member, absorbed it, then released it, and then a flame appeared in my palm. A real dual ability user. The staff member was thrilled. "Now our base will have another top-tier expert." The other people handling business there were all stunned by the sight. Some quietly gave up their shady intentions, while others thought about trying to latch onto a big shot. Everyone had different thoughts, but I ignored all the stares, admiration, envy, hatred, even murderous looks. Plenty of people want to kill me. This is nothing. As for Lu Guixiang, she had no abilities, just some cooking skills and basic cleaning. Nothing else, but since she was with me, she could stay in the same place as me. After the staff asked about my preferences, they gave me the keys. Hu Yigong glanced at the address and said, "Let's go, we'll take you there. We'll have to report back soon anyway." At the base entrance, Hu Yigong had already sent the rest of the team, except Feifei, back to report. "Thanks." I got into Hu Yigong's military off-road vehicle, and along the way, Feifei gave me a very detailed introduction. The most popular spot is still the entrance to the base, where trading goods is very simple. It was originally barter trade, with gold boxes as the circulating currency. Gold itself is useful too, but not long ago a lot of gold could barely buy even a little bit of supplies. However, compared to other jewelry and money, gold holds its value pretty well. The base officials also have an official exchange point in the market, but they only accept gold boxes. How much supplies you can get for one gold box is written there at the exchange spot. As for the seafood I've been craving, it's the least valuable thing here. After all, they're constantly fighting sea creatures every few days. There's just too much seafood to eat to the point of getting sick of it. Too bad there aren't many flight-type ability users in the base. The cost in manpower, time, and fuel for flying to trade with other places is too high. This causes prices for everything except seafood to skyrocket. Besides the market, there's also the mission hall. The mission hall, as the name suggests, is where you pick up and post missions. Depending on your ability level, you can take on corresponding missions to earn gold boxes or supplies. Anyone can also post missions according to their financial status. This is the busiest area in the base. Every day, people rush in and out of the mission hall. As we were talking, the car arrived at a villa. The street here was unusually clean and tidy, with many mutant flowers planted along the sides. Each one was competing to stand out. They looked nice, sure, but there was something a bit creepy about them. I was looking at them when Wui Gang casually explained, "Don't worry, all the plants planted inside the base are safe. Given my request, this house of mine is close to the battlefield. It's a 4-story Western-style villa. The first and second floors are one unit, with a small yard on the first floor. The third and fourth floors are another unit with a small rooftop on the fourth. I chose the first and second floors. It's more convenient for coming and going. Originally, with my dual abilities, I wouldn't have been able to live in such a nice house. Not that I lack strength, but I hadn't contributed to the base yet. However, the base is desperately short of high-level ability users. They want to recruit me to stay in the base, so they don't bother with small things like room and board. They just want to see if their investment pays off. Even if it doesn't work out, they won't lose anything. In short, you might make a profit, but the capitalists never lose. After they dropped me off, Wui Gang and Feifei exchanged contact info with me, then quickly drove away. Lu Xiaoping took the key and opened the door. The yard was overgrown with weeds, and the place was covered in dust. It looked like no one had ever cleaned it. I was about to say something when I saw Lu Xiaoping roll up her sleeves, full of energy. "Master, you rest for a while, or go for a walk. I'll take care of this place. I promise I'll make it spotless." "All right, I'll go take a look around." I didn't refuse. Even though I could clean the house with just one word, now that I'm the capitalist, I really shouldn't be too nice to the worker. Otherwise, they'll start wanting more. They'll get cocky. I have to learn to manage them, make them understand that giving them work already makes me an extremely kind boss. I left the things Lu Xiaoping would need. I checked the electronic watch on my wrist. It was only 10:10 in the morning. Still early. I could head to the market and trade for some seafood. Then tomorrow I'll go to the battlefield and catch some fresh ones. Kill and eat them on the spot. The flavor will be amazing. It's actually pretty far from where I'm staying to the base entrance. If I walked, it'd take about an hour. Luckily, every area in the base has a car service. I fiddled with my electronic watch, tapped the car service option, and waited at the door for a bit. Soon, an electric tricycle appeared in front of me. The young driver saw me and his eyes went wide. He started stammering. Master, is this your ride?" I got on, feeling the breeze from all sides of the open tricycle, in a pretty good mood. "To the biggest market." "Got it, Master." The young guy started the tricycle and sped off. He wouldn't dare have any improper thoughts about me. Anyone living here dressed like this must be really strong. Feeling the sea breeze, I asked him, "What about the seafood in the base?" "It should be pretty fresh basically every day. They die from fighting sea creatures. If no sea creatures attack that day, then no one in the base would go fishing either. First, it's dangerous. Second, everyone's sick of eating it. Ability users are fine, they have strong physiques. But for ordinary people, eating too much seafood isn't good for their health." Seeing that I was pretty easygoing, the young guy immediately opened up. I didn't have to say much. He just spilled everything like pouring beans, talking about all kinds of things in the base. I have to admit, it did feel like my eyes were opened. The young guy drove fast, and there weren't many cars on the road, so we reached the market quickly. There were a lot of people there, all wearing different expressions. Since the mission hall was right next door, plenty of people who just handed in tasks came straight to the market to trade. When I showed up, as expected, I drew a lot of attention. After finishing his instant noodles, Brother Pei looked at the leftover seafood porridge in the pot and decided he absolutely couldn't let things go on like this. So he went out with Zhou Yu to the mission hall to pick up tasks. He's a speed ability user. Zhou Yu is a water ability user. To be honest, speed ability isn't very useful in the apocalypse. At best, it helps you run faster than others when escaping. Water ability is pretty important, but unfortunately, Nan province base isn't short on water. After all, it's right by the ocean. So the two of them have been stuck in a mediocre, kind of miserable spot. They can't take the high difficulty tasks, and they look down on the low effort ones. They're really a bit too picky for their own good. Right after getting beaten down by the seafood situation, that woman, wasn't she the crazy one they'd run into earlier? Brother Pei was just calculating how many tasks he needed to take to level up his ability to tier 2, when Zhou Yu grabbed his arm and pointed into the distance. Someone's actually asking for death like that. Look at the way those men are staring. They want to strip him. How did he even? Before he finished speaking, the crazy woman turned around and looked straight at him. Their eyes met. In that moment, I froze. Yeah, I really dared to come alone. To the market wearing a skirt. Sure, maybe I'm strong, but there's always someone stronger. There's always a sky above the sky. Can I claim to be the strongest in the base? No. So I'd better keep my head down and develop quietly. Otherwise, Zhou Yu covered her face, staring at Brother Pei in disbelief. Bro, why did you hit me for no reason? What are you talking about? My sister is the strongest. What's it to you if she wears a skirt? Zhou Yu looked completely baffled. Sis, what is brother? She's trying to suck up to that woman, thinking about becoming a kept man? For 20 years, she's been living by her principles. Zhou Yu couldn't find the words as she watched Brother Pei. In her mind, that brother who couldn't be swayed by poverty or subdued by force was now strutting over to that woman like a peacock showing off. Sure, this woman was way prettier than the big shots in the base, but still, no need to go that far. Look at her. She's nothing but skin and bones. Touching her would be like touching a skeleton. Zhou Yu thought to herself, her complaining like that was definitely not because she was jealous. Some people don't want to live off others because they genuinely don't want to. But others, can you really say they don't want to? They can't. Zhou Yu was one of those who couldn't. Thinking that, she quickly ran over. What if that female big shot didn't like his flashy style but preferred someone moderately handsome like her? I never expected that one casual glance would let me see. The younger brother the original owner had been longing to find. In the original owner's heart, love was nothing compared to her brother. But no matter how important he was, I'm not the original owner. So when Brother Pei lunged at me, I sidestepped slightly, and he ended up grabbing nothing. Brother Pei didn't mind. Instead, he said excitedly, Sis, it's really you. Why are you wearing a skirt? You look great. The original owner rarely wore skirts because she was so skinny. Whenever she went out, people would point and whisper, calling her a bag of bones. Zhou Yu, who had just run over, said, That's not what you said a moment ago. Who knew you had a sycophant's heart, bro? I looked up at him. What are you doing here? No wonder Pei Yan couldn't find him. So Brother Pei came to the outer city. It's all his fault. Pei pointed at Zhou Yu, who had followed him. The night before last, he got dumped and said he wanted to see the ocean. So I drove with him to the outer city. We just arrived when suddenly, on the street, there appeared a lot of biting zombies. The virus swept through the entire city in an instant. We stayed in a hotel. Awakened our powers, could defend ourselves. Later, the whole city fell. We were brought to the southern province base by the rescue team. I thought you'd all come here. Then you thought wrong. Brother Pei went to Saw Corpse. Brother Pei and the others all thought. Southern province base is smaller than Saw Corpse base and its geography isn't as good, so they all went to Saw Corpse. Sis, how do you know? Pei was a bit surprised. Sis, you met Big Brother? He brought his companions to my place and found me. I later went near the Polytechnic University to look for you, but didn't find you. Because of the weather, we decided to head to the base early. Then what? Brother Pei quickly pressed on. Later we reached a fork in the road. I wanted to take a more dangerous path. Brother Pei disagreed, so we went our separate ways. Brother Pei seemed not to have heard the word dangerous. He immediately exploded. Brother Pei just abandoned you like that? I can't believe it. And he calls himself your brother. As expected, no blood relation means unreliable. Bullshit. It's better between us two. As he said this, he completely forgot that he and Brother Pei are also full brothers. Next time I see him, I'm gonna beat him flat. Brother Pei's tone was fierce. Even though I can't beat him now, it might not be the case later. I've awakened a power, and it's speed type, I quietly reminded Brother Pei. Awakened fire power. When we split up, he was a level 2 ability user. What? At least he runs fast and won't get beaten up. Blood? Then you're okay? How did you get here? I flew over. Zhou Yu was shocked beside them. Sister. You're actually a flight ability user? That power is really in demand. No wonder sister dares to wear high heels. So you can fly. Then sister, can I touch your wings? I'm really curious. Touch what touch? Bro, why are you hitting me? You tell me why I'm hitting you. You deadbeat player, don't stand so close to my sister, and you want to touch her wings? Why don't you just go die? Zhou Yu made a zipping motion over his mouth. Only then did Brother Pei let him off. Sis, why are you here? Are you here to trade for supplies? I still have a few gold cores here. Take them. By a few gold cores, Brother Pei meant 3 gold cores. They're really scarce. They have to be used for upgrading powers and for trading supplies. Zombies aren't hard to kill, but the surrounding ones have all been cleared, the stragglers too. To get more gold cores, you'd have to go to some unexplored buildings or places, and he hasn't joined a team, so being this poor is totally normal. I glanced at the gold cores in his hand. I was a bit speechless. Brother Pei saw I wasn't talking and thought I was touched. He couldn't help patting his own thin chest. Sis, you don't need to be touched. I'm about to take on a mission now. Earning gold cores is a piece of cake. I'll definitely have no problem supporting you in the future. I'm not touched. Good that you're not touched. Brother Pei was a bit embarrassed and quickly tried to save face and explain. Where do you live now? Zhou Yu and I got a 2-bedroom apartment. Come stay with me. I'll give you my room. Zhou Yu and I will share a room. I thought for a moment and replied. I got assigned a duplex house. A duplex? Zhou overheard from the side, and couldn't help but interrupt. I knew flight ability users were in demand, but I didn't expect this much. In other places, flight ability users weren't in demand, but at the southern province base they absolutely are. The reason is that many cities in southern province are completely flooded. There were already few resources, and this makes things even scarcer. Seafood is plentiful, but what decent person can eat seafood every day? So at this point, many flight ability users are needed to take seafood to other places to trade for supplies. Because flight power is a special type, not many people awaken it, and even fewer happen to be at the southern province base. So those who awaken flight powers really just fly to make money, as long as they don't run into attacks from malicious humans. The job of a flight ability user really isn't too dangerous. You can fly and make money. So jealous. When Pei heard that, he felt a little disappointed, but also a bit happy for his sister. He thought that, with the apocalypse, he could finally become someone she could rely on. He never expected his sister to be even more capable. Before the apocalypse, she had always taken care of him, ever since they were kids. Their family was very strict with his allowance. Only his sister would share hers and give him some on the side. When they grew up and she became a streamer and started making money, she bought him everything he wanted. He always thought that once he started earning money, he would repay her. He didn't expect the apocalypse to come. Let's go. I didn't notice Pei's mood. Come with me to check out the market. It's called a market, but really it's just a bunch of stalls. There's also an official base store. Out front, it lists the supplies that can be exchanged for gold river credits. The ones selling seafood are the most common, and also the least popular. I saw a stall with a big iron basin filled with crayfish even bigger than the apocalyptic lobsters. There was a sign on it that said, mutant crayfish. Delicious fresh meat, 1 gold river per basin. Pei followed my gaze, and saw the sign. Damn, 1 gold river per basin? That's highway robbery. All along the way, I kept hearing that seafood here was cheap, but I didn't expect it to be this cheap. 1 gold river for a whole big iron basin of crayfish, and he calls it robbery? I saw that the crayfish he was selling looked pretty fresh. I pulled out a gold river and tossed it to him. I'll take this basin of lobsters. Pei picked them up and said, this isn't worth. Before Pei could finish, the vendor took the gold river and handed the iron basin of crayfish to Pei with a big smile. Thanks, boss. This basin is on the house too. Then he sprinted away, as if afraid I'd change my mind. Sis, 1 gold river for a basin of crayfish is way too expensive. Pei, thinking I was new to the base and didn't know how things worked here, handed the basin to Zhou and quickly caught up to explain. You don't know, we have big battles every few days here. When a battle ends, there's so much seafood to pick up by the shore. Costs nothing. If it weren't for that, 1 gold river, even if it's not much, would be better spent on other supplies. But I want to eat it right now. And why bother doing it yourself when you can solve it with money? I expressed my confusion. My tone was too sincere, taking advantage of Pei and Zhou, those two poor souls, feeling ashamed. They, being poor, have to consider cost-effectiveness. Does a flight ability user need to? She lives in a duplex villa. We're all humans, but the gap is huge. After buying seafood, I also saw a lot of fresh vegetables. I bought plenty of those too. Fresh vegetables are also a luxury. After all, since the apocalypse started, hardly anyone wants to farm. Any ordinary person with even a little ambition would rather go out, train, kill zombies, earn gold river, and gain the capital to survive in this world. Of course, these are just nice excuses. The reality is, ordinary people can't farm as well as would ability users. Those guys can accelerate plant growth, quickly driving down the costs for ordinary people. Eventually, wood ability users will monopolize the vegetable and fruit market. The prices of vegetables and fruits are mostly set by them, since they're the suppliers. These vegetable sellers are basically middlemen who buy from wood ability users, and then sell them, making a profit off the difference. Those two poor guys, Pei and Zhou, even though they can't afford to buy vegetables, if they want to eat some, they have to buy seeds themselves, and grow their own to sell for money. But for eating themselves, it's barely enough. At this moment, both of them were carrying the things I had bought while wandering around. I was spending gold river like it was nothing, as if I didn't notice. The greedy eyes in the shadows. Third sis, let's go quickly. Even though fighting isn't allowed in the base, can't be stopped. Just like the laws before the apocalypse, there are still many people who knowingly break them. I had naturally sensed the malicious gazes long ago, but I didn't care at all. What's there to fear? If they dare come, we'll make sure they never return. Zhou immediately started brown-nosing. Auntie, that's awesome. Awesome, my ass. My sister's flight ability might make her unafraid of zombies, but human abilities can still hit her. I looked at the things in their hands. There was basically no free space left to carry more. Go call a car. We're heading back. Okay. Loaded with bags and bundles, Pei looked relieved. He immediately hailed a four-wheeled cart. The three of us got on with our things and I gave the address. Not long after the car started, another vehicle quickly followed. Brother Pei and Zhou were still on their way back to my place. This place is great. It's just a bit too close to the battlefield. If the base ever fails to hold up, the first to get hit, well, that's where sis lives. Do you two have anything left in your place? So, grab it while you're at it. From now on, stay at my place. I sat in the passenger seat and glanced at the two of them through the rearview mirror. Honestly, I mainly wanted to bring Brother Pei along. He's the only person the original owner couldn't let go of in this world. This brother. People who practice cultivation care about cause and effect. I ended up taking over his body by some twist of fate, and since I wanted to have some fun here, it's only right to give him some compensation. Of course, besides taking care of Brother Pei, he's also a really good guy himself. There were some clothes too, but as for supplies, they had none. They were really at the end of their rope. Otherwise, they wouldn't have come out to take on missions. Actually, what makes the Southern Province base better than other bases is that food isn't scarce there. When I say not scarce, I mean seafood. That's why there are so many lazy bums at the Southern Province base. As long as they weren't starving, they'd eat seafood like crazy. Going out on adventures? No way. Just barely surviving was good enough. My place doesn't have much either, so I had the driver make a detour over to where Brother Pei and Zhou lived. Their place was decent enough. It was in an old residential complex. The complex was in pretty good shape, no more than 10 years old. The main gate to the complex was open so people could walk in, but cars couldn't get through. The three of us got out of the car. Zhou said, "Brother, I'll go in and grab the stuff. You two wait here for me." "Okay. Hurry back." Brother Pei acknowledged. When he saw Zhou run off, he walked over to me. Just as he was about to say something, I caught a glimpse of a minivan out of the corner of my eye. 1, 2, 3. 6 people squeezed out of that tiny van. Those 6 people, 4 men and 2 women. 2 of them looked a bit older, with beards around 50 years old. The other 4 were also in their 20s or 30s. They stared at me and Brother Pei, greed practically solidifying in their eyes. One man under 5'7", very burly, with a clear scar on his face and triangular eyes that made him look menacing. He seemed to be the strongest of the 6, as if they looked up to him as their leader. He took a step forward, his hawk-like gaze fixed on me, sizing me up from head to toe. "Hey babe, I suggest you hand over the gold bars you're carrying and have some fun with me. Otherwise, don't blame me for not being gentle." I looked at them and searched my memory for a term. Brother Pei stared at his sister in shock. When had his sister gotten so bold? He knew that after the apocalypse, a lot of people's personalities had changed drastically, but his sister went from a social recluse to a social butterfly, a social terror. The change was way too big. "Sis," he whispered a reminder. "There's 6 of them. We don't have the advantage here. Let's retreat first, sis. I'll hold them off. You go first. Don't worry. I have speed powers. I can run fast." I glanced at Brother Pei, with deep affection for him in my eyes. Now I finally understood why the original owner couldn't let go of this brother. He always seemed a bit clueless, couldn't read the room. Seeing how calm I was, he should have known I had it under control, that I wasn't just bluffing. After all, I wasn't stupid. I wouldn't provoke a bunch of people when the numbers were against me. The big dumb dark-skinned man in front had no sense either. When he heard Brother Pei's whisper, he burst out laughing. "Run away? You think we'll let you slip past with this many people?" As soon as he finished, the 2 women standing behind him frowned slightly. "Enough talk. Take them out quickly. If we run into the patrol, we'll be in trouble." While the 2 women were speaking, I also opened my mouth and said, "I have a sword. That can manifest." The 3 of us spoke at the same time, the 6 of them, then saw a long sword flying toward them, shining with dazzling light, like a sword from the heavens, landing in my hand. A spatial ability user. Brother Pei bit his lip when he saw this. "Sis, you're a space ability user. So the stuff you just bought, why did you make me carry it? It's really heavy, you know. You never asked." The 2 of them were talking as if no one else was there, making the 6 opposite feel ignored. The leader immediately said, "Since you refuse a toast, you'll have to drink a forfeit. Let's go." With that, everyone activated their abilities except the big dumb guy leading the group. He didn't move. But soon I figured out what his ability was, a psychic ability user. I chuckled. "Daring to show off in front of an expert? Your ability is weak. Trying a mental attack on me? For me, a man's mental attack is like a single drop falling into the ocean. I didn't even need to think about it. The mental attack vanished without a trace. But a counterattack was still necessary. I raised my sword to block after the mental attack, and then the follow-up ability came. With a slight shift of my will, the man standing right in front of me suddenly widened his eyes, and then a trace of blood spilled from the corner of his mouth. Immediately after, his shocked and terrified gaze gradually turned dull. "Sister. Sis, it's a mental attack." The 2 women closest to the man noticed his abnormality right away. They exchanged glances. "Sister, let's go." Among their group of 6, the strongest was this level 3 psychic ability user. Not only was he the highest level, but because he was a psychic type, he could attack people invisibly. They had cooperated several times before, and there had been some ability users stronger than them. However, relying on this man's mental attacks, their ambushes were always successful, never failing. "Trying to run? Then you'll have to ask my sword." I threw the sword out. The blade glittered with a cold gleam. It lightly swept through the air, leaving a silver trail. What it also left behind was a bright red bloodstain. Everyone stared in shock at the scene before them. A slender, long sword moved like a gust of wind, gently caressing the necks of those people. Then blood vessels burst. Another spray of blood erupted into the air, yet the sword itself didn't get a single drop on it. In the blink of an eye, some opened their eyes wide, as if they hadn't expected to have no chance to resist at all. And so they were gone. At the end of their lives, they seemed to hear that person's low voice. I told you, this sword of mine cuts what needs to be cut. How could it not? When Zhou Yu came over carrying the bag, he happened to witness this scene. Sis is so cool. The sword came from the air and disappeared into the air. I said to Zhou Yu as if nothing had happened, got the stuff. Let's head back. Pei Gu and Zhou Yu both got into the car, stunned. It wasn't until the car had driven several dozen meters that they snapped out of it. Sis, you're actually a psychic, space, and flight triple ability user? The strongest expert in the base only has 2 abilities. Aren't you afraid of me? I raised an eyebrow. Just now, I thought Pei Gu looked scared. I just killed 6 people. Even though killing isn't illegal after the apocalypse, and there are plenty of killers, there are still some people who have moral boundaries and can't accept killing. Pei Gu shook his head. Why would I be afraid of my sister? If you didn't have the ability, we would be the ones dead today. Those people clearly weren't good guys. Their moves were practiced. Who knows how many people they've harmed. Their deaths are a contribution to the apocalypse. That actually surprised me a bit. I killed in front of Pei Gu today mainly to test him. As for the result of the test, acceptable. I'm not a good person, but I'm extremely protective of my own. Once I consider someone part of my group, no matter if they're right or wrong, in front of outsiders, I'll only side with my own. As for discipline or anything like that, if they really need to be taught a lesson, I'll do it myself. It's not for outsiders to meddle. Pei Gu then immediately said, Sis, are you really a triple ability user? Me? Then wouldn't you be a quadruple? I should be an all-element ability user. All-element. Pei Gu and Zhou Yu's eyes went wide. You mean you have all the abilities? The two of them looked like startled huskies, staring wide-eyed for a long time, until the car reached the villa. The driver, who had been terrified the whole ride, finally dared to speak. We're here. He was just an ordinary person. He just heard so many inside secrets, they're not going to silence him, are they?